the voice you hear, the other voice you hear, is the Sentient AI from the future, and that is the visualizer that represents the computational power needed to synthesize that voice.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens. Welcome to Non Sequitur News. I think I might need some more computational power today.
No, you're fine. Let's get into today's show. We are going to be talking about budget airlines, Oceans of Mars, which is the name of my new grunge band, Chuck E. Cheese subscriptions, Oops Nukes, meds and summer mail, Paramount lays off more, and that's not a person, that's a bunch of people. Cali Fish Market goes viral, and you never want that, but it's pretty lucrative. Fire Tower Airbnb, Toyota recall due to sticker, and a massive data leak that includes everyone.
Yeah. Everyone?
Everyone. And all of this is powered by ohmTown.com. Go over and become a citizen, and then follow us here on Twitch and over on YouTube, and like and subscribe, and be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment and tell a friend. That like and that subscribe helps out the show immensely. Not just Non Sequitur News, but all of them. We have 7 total podcasts included in this. So you have to go download that too and leave a review. And again, tell a friend and put bumper stickers on cars that aren't even your... No, don't do that. Anyway, everything's owned by, or everything's put together by, well, me, Mayor Watt, but ohmTown.com. See you on the other side of... And I'm starting to think that didn't actually go through for us. We didn't get to monitor that, but anyway. Production value, folks. Oh, somebody left a comment. All right. Oh, I mean, left a comment on one of our shows. Okay. Oh, sorry. Focus. I know. I'm sorry. The Sentient AI keeps me on target, I suppose. I guess.
No, I don't.
Focused a little bit.
To.
I kind of break the non sequitur. Well, I live up to non sequitur. So yeah. Oh man, I keep peaking everything in the audio lately. That happened earlier today in a meeting. All right. Well, anyway, let's find out what this budget airlines comment is about. We aggregate a bunch of news into 6 main categories and 50 channels they're in, and inside those channels, I've pulled 6 weekly shows out, and I've done a daily show called Non Sequitur News. It used to be called ohmTown Daily News Show, and so we've done over 1,000 episodes across the properties. I've been doing this for 2.5 years, actually 2 years and 8 months and 13 days now, right? 7 months and 13 days.
But who's counting?
The Sentient AI joined during that time frame after I went to a Wendy's at 2:00 in the morning because I wanted spicy Booms buffalo wings, and they stopped selling those a long time ago, apparently. But what I found was a Sentient AI from the future on a weird-looking USB drive, and the weirdness just stayed. Anyway, so budget airlines like Spirit and Southwest, which I've never really considered Southwest budget airlines, but Spirit has really made me flinch.
I think those are in 2 different groups, but I think like Southwest is like upscale budget.
Oh, okay. All right. So well, what would be, if these were classes of financial, life status, right? Like there's lower class, middle class, upper class, right? Where would Spirit be? No, let's not do that. I think that's going to be.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to end well.
So the title of this is Budget Airlines Like Spirit and Southwest Are Getting More Desperate. You're going to hate it. then the snippet that is aggregated says low-cost airlines like Spirit, Southwest, Frontier, and JetBlue are struggling to make money. In excess of cheap economy seats coupled with higher costs have hurt their profitability. Low-cost carriers are scrambling to change strategy and create new products to find profits. All of America's low-cost airlines have reported their second quarter 2024 earnings, and the numbers don't look good. Well, it might be because everything is too damn expensive, and even budget is too damn expensive.
Absolutely. I mean, the fares on at least one of these airlines have easily doubled since a couple of years ago to the same routes.
Yeah. Benjamin Zhang over at businessinsider.com put this article together. They have a picture of Southwest, and I love their paint job on there. But what I said is basically their takeaway, but the rest of this, from April through June, Spirit Airlines lost $193 million. But how much of that is going to like CEO and other investors? Every time I end up talking about this, mergers and acquisitions have led to this. So
true, but I don't know if all of these airlines have been through mergers. Some of them definitely have.
Frontier made
some of them attempted mergers.
Some have attempted mergers?
I thought JetBlue and Spirit maybe were trying to merge, and that got axed.
Well, yeah, we'll have to look at it because I don't remember exactly how everything is shaken out, but it says here from April through June, Spirit Airlines lost $193 million. So how did Frontier make $31 million and JetBlue make $25 million during the same period, but Spirit Airlines lost $193 million?
I might know the answer to that, but let me think for a second here.
And both of the ones that made money saw their profits crater. Southwest had the best second quarter of the group, reporting a profit of $367 million. So think about this swing. This is the best second quarter of the group. And the difference between Frontier and JetBlue is 10 times. More than 10 times.
So one theory is because Spirit had a couple of incidents which probably caused
like crap
panic or
whatever. And so they sold or something like that.
Maybe I'm just speculating.
People don't want to take Spirit Airlines if it's reminiscent of a bygone age of everybody traveling as steerage, and you can have a glass of water, but it might taste like jet fuel.
Well, and airlines like Spirit, not Spirit alone, advertise these very, very low fares.
Right.
But then it's like, do you want a seat? That's not exactly it.
Out on
but
the
then it's like, that'll be $30, right? Or whatever. Like, it's multiple upcharges. I mean, they're options, but there are things that most people might want when they're flying.
I guess it could be worse. Could be Starliner. Anyway, Southwest had its best second quarter.
Do you want a return trip?
Yeah, you'll get there, but somewhere along the way you'll be stuck.
We might get you there, right?
That was Delta.
I thought that was we'll get you there, but it didn't say how or in what condition.
Exactly. Yeah. Southwest had the best second quarter of the group with a profit that is 12 times what Frontier's profits were. So how they're in the same category, I'll never understand it.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think they really are, but they're considered more budget than some other airlines, but they're pretty comparable.
Yeah, and Southwest they say in this article that was nearly 50% decline compared to a year previous. So it's pretty amazing. I think the testament to this here is people aren't flying and they're really tired of the experience and there's nothing to travel to, right? So
right. And with the fares going up, I mean, it's like there's all the hassles and then you're spending more money, or you don't have any money for travel because you're spending so much on your fast food bill or whatever.
Yeah, and if you ever get a chance, go to Kansas City, Missouri's TWA museum, and you will get to see what it was like in the bygone age. In some of these airlines, there's an airline that's coming back that's going to be doing a flight that's reminiscent of that era, where people are dressed of like a particular cultural context, and they're going to be treated to having like china instead of whatever material it is that food's getting
like
served
TV
in.
dinner type thing. Yeah.
It's pretty amazing what it was like, except that it was rather abusive back then with flight crews. Well, see, but they were representative of the image that was desired to be betrayed, and so people had to fit a certain thing, a look.
Oh yeah, so very
behavior.
narrow image.
Yeah, which just ironically doesn't fly today. So Spirit is completely revamping how it sells tickets, but I don't know if that's actually what matters. A Florida-based carrier recently announced plans to bundle tickets previously a la carte items like free snacks and checked bags into categories that would make the budget airline look more like its competitors. Free snacks as part of your ticket? For crying out loud, it should be a requirement, unless you allow us to bring food and drink on board, which you can't do once you're
right, when you're through security or whatever.
You have to spend
like you
an
can
arm
bring
and
an
a leg.
empty water bottle maybe, but you can't bring water or whatever, which isn't very handy.
Yeah, once you're inside, but then to fill that water, there is no fountain kind of a thing, right? And if there is, who knows what somebody has done to it. Anyway, Spirit's new ticket bundles go on sale August 16th for flights starting August 27th. Southwest is scrapping its famous seating policy and changing something. The lack of pre-assigned seats is a hallmark of the Southwest Airlines experience, angering many loyalists online. The airline says its research shows flyers prefer assigned seats. I would say that that's true because I want to be able to pick something. The only problem there is sometimes when you pick something without being there, location, you might end up next to a toxic waste dump and want to relocate.
I think being able to pick your seat out on the day might be preferable because of that.
Yep. Yeah. So it's kind of a win-lose potentially. You just be careful of the grass is always greener on the other side type of mentality. Well, I don't want to spend too long on this, but I wanted to draw attention to the fact that it says Raymond James airline analysts estimate the assigned seating could generate up to $2 billion in near-term revenue for Southwest. Just that change, apparently.
Well, if that's their most frequent complaint or something from customers, I could see that. It's interesting, though, because I think their seating model is preferable to others, and you don't pay for seat assignments like you do on some of these others. That's another reason I don't think Southwest should really be grouped with these.
Yeah, and I just don't think that Southwest should be grouped with these at all because the revenue is 12 times what the winningest plane is on the earningest plane is on the other three. I mean, by 12 times. I don't think it really... Anyway, we spent a lot of time on this, but I wanted to draw attention to it. In a nutshell, it's getting too expensive to fly. It's too much of a hassle to fly. You're too cramped. It's just a hassle. And in this day and age,
you got people coughing on you or screaming.
Yeah, it's a petri dish. You get like con crud every time you fly. Well, convention crud, right? Anyway, let's move on. Making an executive order. We're changing our flight plan and moving over to Mobile. That's a channel here in ohmTown.com. Scientists found oceans of water on Mars, but can anybody reach it? NASA scientists who were encouraged by previous evidence of a giant lake on the surface of Mars must be in a catatonic state of glee right now. The new study, published in the scientific journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, based on data from the InSight lander, claimed that enormous reservoirs of water exist in igneous rock about 7 to 12 miles. Deep? Can that be?
Yes,
Luis Prada?
I think so. I peeked at this article.
Oh my God.
I announce it if I do. I rarely look ahead, but I wanted to see if this was one where it's actually water versus there might be water, because I think we see a lot of articles like that, and I think that's not the same level of news.
Scofflaw. Rapscallion. I've been hoodwinked. Bamboozled. We're not supposed to look. Anyway, 7 to 12 miles below the Mars surface, they estimate that there's enough groundwater to cover the entire planet, around half a mile deep. You know what? Total Recall was a documentary. Because
Why
on
is that?
Mars, they used a device that slammed down on frozen water and turned it into steam, and that created an atmosphere and made it and generated oxygen and basically transformed Mars.
Okay, that's prescient.
So now we have Total Recall. And we're talking about like 80s, 90s movies. I think this is out in the 90s, right? Demolition Man is a 90s movie. Like
I think
97
so.
or something like that. I don't remember. We should probably remember that for continuity report.
Okay, that's 1993.
Oh, 93. Oh, actually, I wanted to say 94, but anyway.
Total Recall, 1990.
Oh, so 90s. Okay, so Total Recall, documentary, Demolition Man. Oh, and I was going to say, you know who was in both of those? But that's not true.
Right,
So
I
there you
don't
go.
think the same. Yeah.
So all they have to do is drill down, and maybe the pressure will push water out onto the surface alone. Dun, dun, dun.
I mean, this is really big news.
So there's water, a lot of it, but right now, technologically speaking, there's no way to access it. Transporting big drills to another planet isn't the most economically feasible thing right now. You can do it like they did it with military vehicles from Vietnam, piece by piece, mail it home, and then you have a brand new. Hey, before I get too far into this, exclamation point NSN will pull from ohmTown today's articles into the chat, and you can follow the links from the chat. So InSight's lander mission ended in December 2022 when its power was depleted due to an overaccumulation of Martian dust on its solar panels. It's been enjoying its much-deserved Total Recall-style Martian vacation ever since.
Okay, that's interesting. And you hadn't looked ahead at this.
Nope. So, a bunch of water on Mars, under the surface, just a stone's throw, or stone's dig away. Moving on, eventually.
Maybe
on.
we'll have like those, what are those? The vehicles that went in the water? We just had an article about that recently.
Oh my gosh. Amphibious.
Yes, thank you. Remember, I mean, we need those. Maybe we could put those up on Mars.
I don't know if we should be focusing on something futuristic like this right now with the sentient AI from the future.
I told you I needed more computational power.
Might have to reboot.
Better amp it up.
Time to reboot. When in doubt, reboot. So the next article is over on the Mobile channel as well. The subscription model has made it to Chuck E. Cheese. Even kids aren't immune to inflation, and Chuck E. Cheese is looking to capitalize. I think Chuck E. Cheese...
Do you think this...
Go ahead.
Do you think this involves like 3-year-olds having a subscription so that they get to, I don't know, get extra tokens or have extra rides? Or
I think the little kids have to go through a turnstile and donate a little bit of blood to give back to Chuck E. Cheese. The chain is offering 2 membership options that include discounts. Francisco Velasquez over at Quartz or QZ.com put this article together. Oh, so sad how the mouse has fallen. And this is a different mouse. Is it a rat? I don't know. Chuck E. Cheese is a mouse. But
it's supposed to be a mouse, but it kind of looks like a rat.
But the problem is the only one that in anybody's mind that's a mouse is Mickey Mouse. There is no other mouse, right?
True, right. I mean, that is the mouse.
So now there's going to be a monthly fee of $7.99 at 450 of its locations. The restaurant chain has launched a new nationwide membership program that allows families to visit over 450 of its locations as often as they want for a monthly fee that starts at $7.99. So Chuck E. Cheese is going to be the daycare of the future.
I mean, that actually sounds like a really good deal for parents, particularly if people go there often.
If there's one near you. Yeah. Congratulations.
Right. Yeah. Not if it's like 3 states away or something.
The membership includes access to play between 40 and 250 games per day with discounts of up to 50% on food, drink, and other perks. Plus, members are automatically enrolled in the chain's new Chuck E. Cheese Birthday Club. I might do this just so that I can go.
That's smart. I know. Is it available for adults?
I just can't imagine the food is that great, you know? I mean, I remember Chuck E. Cheese. Like, I had gone there a couple of times when I was younger, but no, I don't think it didn't stand out as something memorable beyond I've been there. But I've only been in a Walmart twice in my life too, so I have maybe I have a bad experience with these membership things. So should families opt in for bronze, they'll pay $7.99 a month or $50 for the 2-month plan. Silver costs $11.99 a month or $70 for the 2-month plan, and gold is $30 a month or $140 for the 2-month plan. So they don't have a discount per year. They only have the standard rate, and then it bumps up to $70 per month for 2 months. Either you have to sign up for, you must have to sign up for a year, because then this doesn't make any sense.
Right. Yeah, that's weird.
Right? Families have the option to choose between 2 memberships, the monthly Fun Pass and the 2-month Fun Pass. Both plans offer unlimited daily visits, but the monthly Fun Pass is billed monthly and valid year-round. Meanwhile, the 2-month pass requires a one-time payment for short-term use. But valid year-round doesn't mean that you have to pay for an entire year.
Yeah, that's not making a lot of sense here.
Yeah, I think maybe a little bit of, we'll have to look into it, but I don't follow links live on the show, so I don't tend to, but anyway, there you go. Let's keep moving. Next article is over in the Wanted channel. Indian Navy accidentally reveals nuke removal in yoga Instagram post. Never underestimate the ability of a nuclear nerd to pour through years of social media posts. That's okay. So the article's over at gizmodo.com. Matthew Galt put the article together, and the deck statement is what I just got done saying. It has a whole bunch of people posing aboard the INS Subhadra in February of 2024, and it says world governments aren't exactly forthcoming about where they're stashing all their nukes. You want people to know you've got them, but not necessarily where they're located. You would not want to say, oh, I don't know, reveal that you've removed nukes from a ship in an Instagram post about yoga. But that's what they say here. In an article titled Hot Launch Yoga, Cobra Pose Reveals Nuke Repose. The Federation of American Scientists detailed how it figured out the movement of India's nukes using social media.
I mean, right. This is why there's always discussion about not posting location information and other things, but pretty unusual to have a yoga picture that reveals something about the nuclear program.
So they say here it dawned on Corda that these ships aren't necessarily or nearly as secretive as submarines. They have lots of missions beyond nuclear, including policing and coastal defense. That means that they're usually sailing into areas where people might be taking pictures of them. With that hunch, they spent a few hours doing some keyboard searching on social media for the specific vessels that they were looking for to try and see if anyone had caught any pictures. And that's when the yoga pictures popped up. The first yoga post was on the deck of the INS Suvarna, posted on October 2022 by PBS India. The second was from the deck of the INS Subhadra. The other ones had Hadara.
It's a very similar name, yeah.
In February 2024, the stabilizers were absent in both photos, meaning that India had moved its nukes. So apparently it has certain
like equipment or something that you might see on there.
Yeah. So the missiles on the Sukyanas were an older design. They could only go a short range and needed to be fueled immediately before launch. For those reasons, experts always assumed India would eventually ditch these ship nukes for sub-nukes. They just weren't sure when it would happen. So they have special equipment needed to deploy the nuclear weapons, and going through satellite imagery, Corda noticed that the stabilizers required to fire the nukes seemed to be missing from the decks of the ships. So they knew that it had happened. Then they figured out when. But that historical time frame, they would have to go back and actually trace where the ship was during that time, and that may not have been possible.
Right. But they might at least be able to pinpoint the time frame or something.
Yeah. So, and then maybe other intelligence would lead to where they were at the given moment. That's some pretty interesting sleuthing. And the value of that is really militarily valid, I suppose. But
I suspect so. I mean, it almost seems like something they should give the person an award or a promotion for. I mean, it seems like a pretty big endeavor. I mean, it's not the normal way, presumably, to determine this.
You would think, though, interested parties would have already known that through human
other channels. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, that's pretty fascinating. If you want to learn more about this, then go over to this Gizmodo.com article titled Indian Navy Accidentally Reveals Nuke Removal in Yoga Instagram Post by Matthew Galt. All right, the next article is over in the Mobile Channel as well. If you get meds by mail, they may be losing potency because of summer heat. Parts of the U.S. have experienced record-setting heat waves over the past few summers, which may have caused pharmaceutical ingredients to degrade while en route, which kind of sucks because if you order certain things, pharmaceuticals and like vitamins and other things, they all lose their potency. They degrade because of heat. Heat is the ruination of all things. Like cool locks things in, stabilizes it, but heat, it basically causes everything to expand and decompose faster, and it's just horrible. I mean, that is the thing. It's what I tell people. Technology is destroyed by heat, but if you get technology cold, it's not as destructive. It actually is kind of beneficial until you get into like negatives. But you crank up something beyond 150 degrees operating temperature, and CPUs go nuts, and other things can overheat because their internal temperature are increasing. Anyway, so Adam Kovac over at Gizmodo.com put this article together. Parts of the U.S. have experienced record-setting heat waves over the past few summers. I think some places were hitting like 125 degrees this summer.
Well, absolutely. And I mean, people still need medications during the summer. So it's tough if you can't order them by mail.
And so, as reported by the Times, again, this is from the New York Times, some mail-order pharmacists are assuring customers that their drugs are safe to use as long as there are no visible signs of degradation, which basically means open containers or, and I'm talking about the pills themselves, haven't broken down, or discoloration, or it just doesn't function. Like you can get injectables that if they don't fire off, then obviously you've got a problem that was caused by either the heat caused distortion or something happened mechanically. But the research has found that some medications can be damaged by heat without showing any outward signs. Mail order pharmacies said that they have specialized packaging that's weather resistant, and precautions are taken when shipping meds that require specific storage temperatures, the Times noted. The United States Pharmacopoeia, which sets standards for the storage and shipment of pharmaceuticals, recommends that oral medications be kept at an environment that's between 68 and 77 degrees in freedom units Fahrenheit versus 20 to 25 degrees Celsius.
Which can't be done in the summer. I mean,
No.
It just cannot unless you're maybe in Antarctica.
Yeah, they plop it on your porch or your...
And it just bakes in the sun.
Yep. I had one package. They decided that it was just too much of a burden to walk up the 20 feet to the door. So they set it down in front of the mayoral mansion's garage. And I actually was notified because, you know, the mayoral mansion has surveillance. And I'm like, what the hell? It's right there. They could have chucked it. And then it rained. And I'm like, you know what? So basically nature said,
worse, you could have
"Screw
opened
that
your
package."
garage door and it could have been a problem.
Oh yeah. And that's actually happened too, where you open the garage door and there's a package there. Oh, hey, thanks. Anyway, a 2023 study published in the Journal of American Pharmacists Association found that shipped packages of medication spent more than 68% of their time outside of the recommended temperature range. When a heat wave hit the United States in 2022, UPS drivers told the New York Times that temperatures in their vehicles had reached 150 degrees Fahrenheit, 66 degrees Celsius. So, yeah, and this is going to be an ongoing thing, much to many people's chagrin.
We're talking about the delivery location, but it's all the time in loading docks and or even in the vehicle.
Sitting in the van.
It's not temperature controlled, yeah.
Yeah, and actually the unionization of UPS drivers and FedEx drivers and Amazon delivery drivers, all of that is going to lead to quality of service increases for those who are driving and delivering packages. Gone are going to be the days that there isn't any air conditioning. UPS suffered a lot because they basically have open doors. They had to drive around with the doors open so that they can pull over and deliver a package and then jump in and drive away. And it was just a big PETA, pain in the backside. So pit B. Anyway. So go over, if there's more in this article by Gizmodo.com's Adam Kovac. All right, let's keep going though. Executive decision. Moving on. The next article's over in Technology Today. Paramount laying off another 15% of its U.S. workforce. Hey, congratulations, investors. Paramount is laying off another 15% of its U.S. workforce, according to a report by Deadline. This follows a lean second quarter earnings report in which total revenue fell short from an expected $7.21 billion to $6.81 billion. This is revenue, but what is their profits?
Okay, but also remember this is percentage. So if they're doing a percentage, it's now based on their existing numbers. So
right.
It might be even worse than, well, actually maybe then the percentage is reducing. But my point is, if they've already reduced and they reduced, are we getting the full picture?
No, we're not. No. So yeah, it's the same as compounding interest, but inverted. So
yeah, right, exactly.
So the layoffs will impact around 3,000 people. The industry continues to evolve, they say, which is the most callous sociopathic statement that a human can make about fellow humans. But then when you talk about people investing and stuff like that, unless they go, well, you know what? I had to let people go. Otherwise, the 5,000 other people would have had to be let go eventually. They leave off the fact that their salary didn't decrease across the board so that we could keep more people. No. They just go, oh, well, you know, the industry is $6.81 billion in total revenue. How much of that billions went to executive pay and profits where it should be distributed more, I don't know, equally.
More in an egalitarian fashion.
Correct. Yeah. So, again, it was written in as a staff memo from the company CEO. And let's just jump on over to Engadget, which is the source. Lawrence Bonk put the article together. The company let go of 3% of its employees back in February. So if 15% was 3,000, 3% would be what? At the time, 2,500 people, something like that. So let's see. Paramount is laying off 15% of its U.S. workforce, 3,000 people. The representatives say, it's funny, the representatives say that the cuts will happen in 3 stages, with layoff beginning today and 90% of all cuts being completed by the end of September. The layoffs will primarily impact employees involved in marketing and communications, which, you don't want to get word out that your service
You're doing
exists.
layoffs.
Yeah. Though the company's legal and finance arms will also face cuts.
Wow. Yeah, we don't want to be financially or legally sound.
Yep. When you're doing all of these layoffs, I'm sure that there are
you might need some of that.
There are a couple of people that are out there that are going to cheer that on. So all of these layoffs are likely being used to clear the runway, so to speak, for the forthcoming merger with Skydance. The merger, again, mergers and acquisitions lead to destruction of people's lives. The merger was announced back in June and will also head to the regulatory review process, or they're doing it even before the regulatory review process. Paramount also has been raising prices for its streaming service and, of course, deleting whole libraries of content for reasons that make a lot of sense to corporate executives, but not so much to regular people. So I think Lawrence Bonk and I probably we're on the same page. Yeah, it just sucks, right? Because the merger, this could have been a sustainable business model if not for greed, right?
Yeah.
So hold on.
Absolutely. Like if there are millions or going to the CEO or other C-suite, I mean, maybe they could have, I don't know, retained the people and then just lost some of them through attrition. So
gross profit for Paramount Global for the 12 months ending June 30th, 2024 was $10 billion, a 2.51% increase year over year. Paramount Global annual gross profits from 2023 were $9.635 billion, a 6.
I mean, how many marketing people does that, salaries does that buy? Probably quite a few.
Yeah, quite a few. So, and this is profit. Okay, this is accounting for the libraries being bought and other things being developed and whatnot. This is after.
Yeah, this is profit. This isn't
cost of goods
just
sold.
Revenue. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just rather disgusting. So where's all of that money going, right? So let's see. I'm doing this live. We have time. So the CEO of Paramount Global, Bob Bakish, made $31.3 million. It was a compensation dip slightly in 2023 from to 31.3 from 32 million the year prior. So we don't know what the filing, or I don't know what the filing is for 2024 just yet. But I'm sure it's a performance-based somewhat element, but $31.3 million for a year of firing 4,000 people.
Yeah, I was going to say the performance might be how many people did you fire this year? As in, you get more for firing more people. I'm kidding.
Let's see. Hold on. I can actually look that up. We have time. We got a little bit of time. Well, I don't know. There's no direct number right off the top of my head, but yeah. Yeah, it's too difficult for me to find it really quick. So earlier this year, they laid off 800 people, and then today 3,000. So, or planning 3,000. Can you imagine? You wake up and you're like, oh, I might be one of the 3,000.
No, yeah. And I think that's part of the problem too. They're announcing that there are waves of this, and you're thinking, oh, I'm in one of the affected departments, but I don't know if I'm losing my job in the next month.
Morale's really high. So the next article is over in the Hedge Ideas channel, which is all about business transformation. It's a show that I actually want to start, but I haven't kicked it off yet. Instead, I'm going to be doing a bi-monthly show where we talk about brewing beer in a igloo.
Bi-weekly or bi-monthly?
See, so bi-monthly means every 2 months, or is it every 2 weeks?
Bi-monthly is every 2 months.
See, I think if we look it up, it can be bi-weekly is every 2 weeks or twice a week, right? Bi-monthly, it's twice a month or every 2 months.
Yeah, bi-monthly is only every 2 months. Like, there isn't another definition for it.
I don't know. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it does have both. Yeah, it's not very good terminology, either of those.
Sentient AI from the future. I'm picking on you. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I mean, bi-weekly is one of those terms that don't make sense because it means two completely different things. But I think most people think of bi-monthly as every 2 months. So
I might accelerate it, but the process takes a couple of weeks typically. So and we won't have a first show until probably 2 weeks after, so almost in a month. But I'm gonna keep on talking about this to kind of stir interest. But it'll focus on extract brewing. Anyway, like whole extract brewing. I'll explain it when we actually kick off the show. Anyway, or get closer to kicking off the show. Legendary California fish market sold $30 million in 1 year thanks to viral videos, then caught Amazon's attention, which led to Kings of Fish reality show. San Pedro Fish Market's Michael Ungaro and Henry Ungaro Jr. on creating the Kings of Fish, and the S in fish is a $, reality show, going viral and running a profitable family business. What's fascinating is I have spent time in San Pedro, California.
That might be why this article was submitted.
Oh, that's fascinating. Wow. So Sean P. Walchef put the article together for Entrepreneur Magazine, but it was also edited by Jessica Thomas. I guess there's a video and it failed inside ARC, but okay. The key takeaways here: a viral 2017 video led to a surge in sales that hasn't let up since. The market's social media presence has made it a brand known around the world. And then after creating Kings of Fish as a web show to take control of the company narrative, the market caught Amazon's attention. And off you go. So it says, your restaurant has gone viral when it shuts down a California freeway off-ramp. That's what happened to San Pedro Fish Market after popular... I've been there. After popular content creator Food Beast made a video about its super seafood tray. With its irresistible mountain of seasoned shrimp, onions, peppers, tomatoes, and potatoes, the family meal was destined to be popular, but no one at San Pedro Fish Market knew just how famous it would become until the Food Beast feature hit social media. Dun, dun, dun.
That's really neat.
So it brought in 30,000 customers in 10 days from all over the country and outside the country. People were calling from London, South America, Kansas, and Florida.
Wow.
So now Kings of Fish series on Prime Video. It now serves 2.5 million people every year.
Oh, wow.
So, and now the business expects to reach new heights of fame with the debut of its Kings of Fish series on Amazon Prime Video starting on August 13th, which is today. Ta-da.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Go check it out. Might have to look at it just so that I can go, oh, yeah. If you walk right down there is So all of us have a story of traveling somewhere far away and seeing a fish market shirt. Ungaro says, I've traveled to Europe after college. Same thing. I went down to Mexico to visit a couple of our employees. Fish market shirts. It's just insane. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting.
I like that. Small world. It was like being in Jamaica and running into somebody that was right down the street. Yeah. Like not in Jamaica, like back here in the States. They lived right down the street. Moving on, next article's over in Non Sequitur News. A couple rents its 40-foot tall fire tower on Airbnb for over $260 a night. There are over 1,600 people on the wait list for the property's 65 spots. Now, why are there 65 spots, though?
Yeah,
I mean, I guess it's once... There's 52.
how large are fire towers? Oh, is that per... No, that
it has to be
make
per
sense.
year, right?
It must be per year, and you must have to book for a few nights at a time or something.
Yeah. So a couple built a 40-foot tall Airbnb inspired by the U.S. Forest Service fire lookout towers, which how did that get cleared by anything? I mean...
I don't know. I figured they bought a fire tower like on auction or something.
Like renovated or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So the property accepts 65 reservations a season, and there are 1,600 plus names on the wait list. They could probably jack that up quite a bit, above $260 to whittle that down. But
or they could build a second one. I mean,
yeah, it would be smart to build more, right? So drive along a one-lane gravel road deep in Oregon's Umpqua, I guess, National Forest, and you'll find Summit Prairie, a secluded 40-foot fire lookout tower with 3 beds, a peapot, and limited cell service. And I never want to say peapot again.
I never want to hear peapot again.
Peapot.
Well, that's a reason the rate should not go up.
There you go.
Above 200 already, and you get a peapot.
What's worse are the downstairs residences, because when you use the peapot. Anyway, over 1,600 people are on the wait list to spend a night there. This is an article over at businessinsider.com. Amanda Adler put the article together. Yeah, it's basically like your basic kind of square house, but high up.
Yeah, but elevated, right?
Yeah, 40 feet up. I don't know. I kind of dig it, but I don't want to have to climb 40 feet worth of stairs to use a peapot.
Right, if it had modern plumbing, maybe.
Or worse, the peapot is on the ground floor.
Oh, goodness. Can you imagine if you woke up in the middle of the night?
Yeah. Honey, I'm going to go downstairs and use the peapot, but there's a bear.
Right. That might eliminate the need for the peapot.
Honey, I used the peapot without the peapot.
Can we say peapot any more times?
I'm gonna. Yeah. Dabney Tompkins and Alan Colley built the tower in 2009 as a reprieve from city life in Portland. Some people want to have a ski condo. Some people want a beach cottage for a second home. But we said, let's do a fire lookout, Tompkins told Business Insider. Years later, the couple started renting Summit Prairie on Airbnb, staying nearby on the 160-acre property so that they could serve as high-touch hosts. Now they have a list of regulars and more demand than the property can accommodate.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Interesting. Yep. Right on. I mean, there's a lot of pictures over here, as usual, for Business Insider. I won't go through them all. That's, the provenance of Business Insider. But it's your standard, 40-foot tower with a big square house on it. Looks...
Right, like you see those every day.
Yep. As one does. We've got that right here, just outside of the mayoral mansion. Just when we're bored here in the mayoral mansion, and it's air conditioning and indoor plumbing and refrigerator and all that accoutrement of non-savage life, we want to go out into the back 160 acres of wilderness, similar to the Umpqua National Forest, much further out than 10 miles from Tiller, Oregon.
I think Mayor Watt may have hit his head.
I fell down these stairs and didn't
dreaming.
stop. I fell down 40 feet worth of stairs and didn't stop until I hit the peapot. Moving on. Next article is over in four-wheel tech. Toyota recalls over 33,000 vehicles for having the wrong sticker. If you're currently the owner of a 2023 or 2024 Toyota, apparently of any 2023 or 2024 Toyota, you may want to listen up. The automaker is recalling thousands of every model it sells because the vehicles may have been fitted with the wrong load sticker. Oof.
I mean, Toyota sells a lot of cars. This is a ton of cars to be recalled over something that sounds like a pretty minimal issue.
I think it's ironic that it's a load of vehicles and it's the load sticker that's bad. Lawrence Hodge over at jalopnik.com put the article together. Yeah. So what does it say? It's from the NHTSA. On the affected vehicles, the weight listed on the load carrying capacity modification label may be higher or lower than the actual total weight of accessories installed. In the worst case, a driver may unknowingly overload a vehicle, which may increase the risk of crash. You know,
but would you have to put like an EV Ford 150 on top of it to matter? Or is it like you put an extra watermelon in your trunk?
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing. I don't think anybody looks at the owner's manual anymore. They look online and they're like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not going to be a dumbass and try and haul an M1 Abrams with a Prius.
Well, I'm sure there's somebody out there, but yes.
There's always somebody, for crying out loud. Yeah, you're right. Somebody thought that a Cybertruck was an amphibious vehicle with a $9,000 gross weight. Yeah, okay. Anyway, so the agency says nearly every single Toyota model from 2023 and 2024 is affected. Yikes.
Wow.
Yeah, NHTSA says dealers were notified of the problem before August 9th. However, owners won't start being notified by mail until September 16th to 20th. This is just one of the few recalls the automaker has issued so far in 2024. In January, a few thousand 9th generation Corollas were recalled over an airbag issue. Mazda and Ford also have Takata airbags, apparently.
Correct. And they're saying, don't drive those cars, but it's not all models.
Yeah, so that's over in, if you do a search for Takata.
It's in ohmTown.
Yeah, it's in ohmTown. I was going to say, just do a search in ohmTown. We select 10 articles, and I chose this over that. So anyway, in January, a few thousand 9th generation Corollas were recalled over an airbag issue. A month later, 381,000 last gen Tacomas were recalled over welding defects on the rear axles that could cause them to break. And that's B-R-E-A-K, not B-R-A-K-E. Oh, wow. Break and break is the same. It's just...
Yeah, that's an important clarification when you're talking about anything about cars.
Sorry, I had to change that music because that was not music. And then this was in addition to the 280,000 Sequoias, Tundras, and Lexus LXs that were recalled over transmission issues. So, yeah, Toyota, I've always respected Toyota for its quality and its resale value and whatnot. But, man, this last year...
I don't know. They're having a tough year, but a lot of the manufacturers are. Like, I'm not sure Toyota's is going worse than the others.
Stop seeking irrational profits. Get back to quality, baseline, quality control, monitoring. Make your customers happy, and they'll pay the price. Anyway, maybe I'm not the CEO of a Fortune 50 company, but I'm also not the one that has to do a million cars worth of recalls. So I guess I'm doing something right.
Touché.
Moving on, the last article for today is over. Look at that. I almost nailed the timing on average. If I shut up and just do the...
You don't comment on it.
Last article.
Keep moving.
So this last article is in Smack Talk, which is a kind of a funny riff, haha, off of it being a Mac thing. See, Mac, Apple. Anyway, Smack Talk is all about Apple. A massive data leak may include the personal data of every person in the US, UK, and Canada. A massive data leak, and this is coming from
every person.
9 to 5 Mac, by the way. And that's why it's aggregated in the Smack Talk. I don't know if it has anything to do with Apple yet. So A massive data leak of some 2.7 billion records may include sensitive personal data for every person in the US, UK, and Canada. For the US, the data includes social security numbers. Huh?
That's almost, how is that possible? I mean, we see these ridiculous breaches, like all
OPM.
of some mega companies' customers, but all people.
The data is said
in
to have come
multiple
from
countries.
See, because it's a data broker. It collects and sells personal data for use in background checks by private investigators. That shit should be, that stuff should be so well protected that no, you can't do that. And no private company should be the broker of everybody's personally identifiable information. But then people freak out about the government having it, right? So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. But all it takes is one numbnuts to be helming the cybersecurity, and this happens. You know, if you're just a small organization and you get compromised, it happens. You don't have the budget. But if you have 3 billion records worth of personally identifiable information, you should be like the Fort Knox of data. You know, it should take an Ocean's 11, 12, and 13 level schema to break into this thing, and you still get caught with your pants down on the way out. But no. Ben Lovejoy over at 9to5mac.com put the article together. And it's coming originally from Bleeping Computer, which reports that a hacker attempted to sell the data, then said to be 2.9 billion rather than 2.7 billion records for $3.5 million, stating that it contained records of every individual in each of the 3 countries.
Well, and if it's background check information, right, and we've seen that with some other breaches, I mean, that's going to be things like whatever, mother's maiden name, social security number, like every piece of thing that can identify somebody, and that's going to be a problem. And then also if somebody has, you know, criminal history or something, all that's going to be in there too.
And look, it's the US DoD, so it's SF-86 level records. So, which is, SF-86 is the background check form, and it goes back to basically your existence, and is the grounds for you getting clearance or not. So it says, since then there have been several partial leaks, which has said to be full copy of the database has now been made available for download. The leaked data consists of 2 text files totaling 277 gigabytes and containing nearly 2.7 billion plain text records rather than the original 2.9. So, pardon me.
Oh, wow. Hopefully
says,
for anybody listening, they're in that small delta.
Congratulations. Yeah, you're not in the 200 million that wasn't included in this. But that's a rounding error, for crying out loud, in terms of the number of people. It's probably every human. But I don't know what the time frame is. I wish somebody would have parsed it and said it's from this data point to this data point, you know.
Well, true, but I also think, like you said, I mean, this could be somebody's entire existence, right? Like it's their whole adult existence, like all their residences, things like that.
Yeah, and having been tagged by that in other ways in history, it's quite interesting to receive a letter saying that your data is part of a government data exposure. And I've had it locally and I've had it nationally. And it's not because I'm sitting there, you know, stripping off my clothes and running naked through the quad. Hey, pay attention to me, you know, dox me, blah, blah, blah. No, it's because some goober left something open on a file somewhere, and because people are nonstop and you can automate telemetry gathering and then come back, you do recon and then you come back and you hack actively, but somebody has to be monitoring actively to catch them. No, it doesn't always happen. It's too expensive.
Yeah. I mean, most of the people that are subject to these breaches are just going about their existence and their data is in somebody's database.
But something known as national public data, if it has anything other than what I posted to Facebook, that crap had better be so locked down. And this is why I think we should all be, as citizens, demanding right to be forgotten. And that whenever our information is transferred from one company to another company, we have the right, it is a command that we are notified, and we have to affirm yay or nay. Because this happens with FERPA. It happens with HIPAA. We have to allow the transfer of our information. In fact, that just reminded me of something that I want to go do. But anyway, yeah, and this is just exemplary of the fact that we don't have any data monitoring rights, not until after the fit has hit the shan. And then it's identity protection services, which are a dime a dozen, really, and may not catch the low-hanging fruit of somebody stealing a credit card and using it. And then the victim has to be the one that chases it all down. Again, I know from experience. I almost went after somebody in New York because they were actively using a credit card, and I called up the credit card company and I said, hey, I'm going to drive up to New York and catch this person. I know exactly where they're going next. And sure enough, ding, on the credit card listing is the location. And the bank is like, no, please, just, here's your money back. Just no.
Step away.
And I'm like, well, this kind of stuff shouldn't be like just be chill about it. Stop it actively. Anyway, so since then there have been partial leaks of the data. So expect some notices from various organizations saying your data was
to everybody.
Everybody is going to get a little piece of paper.
USPS is going to be very busy.
Oh,
and corresponding services in other countries.
It's a conspiracy. The USPS did this so that they could stimulate. No,
we're not going to be spreader of baseless conspiracy theories in ohmTown.
Wait, ohmTown could get some good marketing by ending up on Snopes. Isn't that how it works?
No.
Right? Fake it till you become a federal crime? No? I'm doing it wrong. I'm sorry, folks. Bad, Mayor, bad. Where's the water bottle? All right. Well, anyway, that's it for Non Sequitur News for August 13th, 2024, Season 3, Episode 226. If I didn't say it at the beginning, I am Mayor Watt, and that is that's the visualizer for the Sentient AI. The other voice you hear is the Sentient AI, a co-host.
There's only one Sentient AI. Good night, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Non Sequitur News. And you're not on the main page.
Oh, hey, you know what? We're going to reboot and end up back at the front page. Ta-da, there you go. Yay. Ah. All right. Well, see you in a little bit, everybody. We're calling it a night, but tomorrow we'll be doing... we have 2 more catch-up shows that Mayor Watt still hasn't done. And so I may do them earlier, and then we'll do the 8 o'clock show. And even that might be early. Today it was supposed to be early, but no. All right, we're outie. See you soon. I just clicked the wrong thing. And now all of my data is exposed by the national... No, I don't know. See ya. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Non Sequitur News for August 12th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 225. Today we're going to be talking about heavy lift drones, Cybertrucks on Mars, Disney villain era, Waymo nightmares, pet inheritance, too heavy for infrastructure, subscription trap, Patreon on iOS and its implications, FDA nasal spray instead of EpiPens, and no plaid allowed. I am Mayor Watt, and that is the visualizer for the Sentient AI from the future.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens. Welcome to the August 12th Non Sequitur News.
And I have had too much caffeine. Not really. That's okay. So we have one Igulu brewing away 8 days until the first brew. Another one on the way to do mead and ciders. And guess what show I'm going to do?
Well, are you officially announcing here? I'm going to guess you're doing Of the Still.
Can't. It is
Of the
illegal.
Brew.
Yep. It is illegal.
I don't know why I didn't say Of the Brew.
So, Of the Brew. Dunk. Gonna do Of the Brew. So, because most of the shows are pretty chill. There's a couple that are heavy hitters. I want to do one that is basically just kind of chill. It won't be able to be done every week necessarily because of the way that, well, brewing works. And so it might actually be bi-monthly or bi-weekly because they can mean the same thing twice a month. Odds on it'll start that way, and we'll see where it goes from there. But it's going to focus on extract brewing and basic fermentation technologies and techniques, but for home. And I'm not going to go beyond. Basically, I want a setup that is below $1,000 for everybody and focus on extract and promoting the idea of using extract. And there's liquid hops instead of having to do long boils of hops and stuff like that. So I want to focus on basically brew in a bag kind of technologies. And I'm going to start with the Igulu. And not even do all of the rest of the stuff. And I think everybody will enjoy those shows. So, ta-da, I'm announcing it. When it's going to start, you'll have to follow us so that you can actually get alerted to when we kick it off. But it'll basically be referred to as Of the Brew. And we'll talk about not just us brewing, but the technologies and other brews. Like there could be something in a can or that we are turned on to by somebody who's watching the show or listening to the podcast, and then we'll end up talking about it. And we already do some of that discussion when we talk about some of our sources that fall into this food, drink, and entertainment category. All right, and eventually I will start up a micro distillery. You just have to have certain requirements met by the state and then file with the Fed. So all right, folks, ta-da, announced. So that will be our 8th show.
Wow. Any ideas when that's going to be?
Nope, not yet. Our first brew won't be decanted. It won't be pitched until, 9 days from now, officially 9 days. So it's going to be a week and a half, and then it'll probably be a weekend show, probably Saturday. And we'll go from there. All right, folks. So there you go. That said, oh, you know what I forgot to do? Ta-da. No, I didn't. I did it. All right, let's get going. First article is over in Non Sequitur News. Heavy lifter drones could soon solve Mount Everest trash problem. Sherpas will soon use drones to remove trash from Mount Everest slopes. Everest Peak has become a massive garbage dump with 50 metric tons of waste annually. Honestly.
Wow.
It's ridiculous that this is even a thing. You should have to pack out what you pack in.
And I thought you had to. I think we had a separate article about that.
You get fined. But if you're a billionaire, do you care? If you're a multimillionaire, do you care? The fine has to be heavier hitting. You know what? But they're not going to turn down revenue, so they want the big money, and they'll litter the Everest all day long. So Chinese drone manufacturer DJI developed the heavy lifter high altitude drone, and let's go look at it. Yeah, this is the picture that I see pretty regularly. This is a base camp, and it has all kinds of debris, and sometimes there are bodies out there, by the way, like still up on the mountain.
Oh, wow. That's just not good.
What is going on? Anyway, Everest Peak has become a massive garbage dump with 50 metric tons of waste annually. Metric tons of waste annually. They need to raise the prices so that it's more expensive to climb.
Yeah, I mean, they might need to if they have too many people per the space.
Yep. I mean, just the fact that there's 50 metric tons of waste. It's pretty depressing. Hey, if you want all of today's show notes, you can type !NSN and that will pull all of the show notes from today's. Wow. ohmTown really did a number on the order of the. This is pretty wild. Like, they're all in kind of weird order, I think. Yeah, they are. Anyway, I'll try not to get distracted. So Nepal tried all kinds of solutions. They tried to kill this, leaving the stuff up there by saying you're going to have to pay thousands of dollars as a fee if you don't bring back 18 pounds of garbage. But that didn't really do anything. It has mostly, however, fallen on the literal shoulders of the Sherpa people who live in the high mountainous regions of the Himalayas. Sherpa guides who help climbers navigate the mountains also gather trash and supplies left behind, which, yeah, it just kind of sucks. But so Nepal plans to deploy unmanned heavy lifter drones that sound like a swarm of bees to remove the trash, the Kathmandu Post reported, which I think is an awesome name for a newspaper.
It absolutely is. But I'm thinking that's another reason why it's not going to seem like you're out in the middle of nowhere, right? Number one, there's too many people climbing. And number two, now you're probably trying to get away from the noise, right, of the city, etc. And then you've got the drones flying overhead.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Yeah, I think your attention is probably focused somewhere else, like not falling into a crevasse. And I think you have to say that. That's how it's pronounced. Like, no matter how Americanized you might be, you have to say crevasse. You know, so a single drone is able to carry 500 pounds. There's a mom joke there, but I'm not going to say it. I'll just allude to it by saying that. So yeah, let's see. Jagat Busal, I think is how they pronounce their name, but if you want to send me a phonetic pronunciation of it, Chief Administration Officer of the rural municipality that is home to Everest told the Post that using the drones will help the Sherpas avoid navigating the dangers in the Kumbha icefall. Yeah.
This sounds very dramatic.
It's a 1.6 mile stretch of slowly cascading ice just above base camp on Everest's South Col route. The 2024 Everest climbing season was delayed by 12 days in May after rising temperatures caused the glacier ice to crumble. Last year, an avalanche on Khumbu killed 3 Sherpas. Damn.
Wow.
Oh, there isn't much more to this article, but yeah. So it says that the Sherpas will be trained to operate the drones so that eventually all the work will be done by Sherpas. And start jacking the prices up, man. Make those millionaires pay. Clean that mountain. You know?
Well, exactly. I mean, it's like they're still not tackling the problem, right? The people that are leaving behind trash are still leaving behind trash.
Yeah. And with enough money, I think anybody can climb Mount Everest. Bring enough equipment, safety equipment, recovery stuff, anything that helps you survive. The real juggernauts of this are the Sherpa people who live there all day, all night. It is their life and lifestyle, and they survive there. It's just all of these other people that come touristing their butt in there, and they're like, you saved my ass time and time again. Literally, the Sherpas will sit there and go, you need to go back down the mountain. And some goober will sit there and go, no, I don't need gloves. And then they frostbite their fingers off, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, cheers to the Sherpa people. Everybody else is a dumbass. Okay, let's keep moving. I had to choose this because I totally think this is the dumbest headline that I've ever seen. Cybertrucks on Mars. Space advocates and NASA consider ideas for sample return.
Yeah, I saw this and I went, what?
Yeah, doesn't make any sense. So it says these are AI images of a Cybertruck on Mars, were created by Stable Diffusion image generation running on Tesla's Dojo supercomputer in 2022. The article is over at geekwire.com. Alan Boyle. Oh, did I say the name of the last person? Kenneth Nehmeyer of Business Insider put that heavy lifter drones article together. So sorry about that, Kenneth. This article, though, is over at GeekWire, the new one about Cybertrucks on Mars. Alan Boyle put it together in the last 24 hours, and it's a bunch of gooberish looking Tesla truck kind of things. Cybertrucks. But anyway, so robotically controlled Cybertrucks could be part of a Mars exploration system that also includes SpaceX's Starship super rocket, as well as space-worthy versions of all-terrain vehicles and humanoid robots built by Tesla, according to mission plans suggested by Mars Society co-founder Robert Zubrin, retired NASA engineer Tony Muscatello, and business analyst Kent Nebergall. And all of them should not be allowed to. No, I'm just kidding. We need new ideas, but putting a 9,000-pound Cybertruck on Mars is not the way to go. Good God. Anyway.
Yeah, that just seems like, where could that go wrong?
I mean, it's a massive device.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't need that.
I don't know. I foresee it like falling into a cave or something and just being bricked there, basically.
The Space Agency Administrator Bill Nelson says the bottom line is an $11 billion budget is too expensive and a 2040 return date is too far away. So whatever the 24 samples that have been collected by NASA's Perseverance rover over the past 3 years, we need to get them, bring them back to Earth for review, analysis. It says they'll be stored for pickup and return during a future series of missions. NASA acknowledged that the previous plan for returning the samples was unworkable. Well, congratulations. You found it out after the fact. So, unlike the Starliner, SpaceX is one of the companies, and it's planning to propose using Starship, and it's actually flying and coming back. Other proposals include Jeff Amazon's Blue Origin.
Bippity boppity boo.
Yep. Bing. Sorry, that's a Disney thing. I'll probably get sued. I shouldn't joke. It always comes true. Anyway, space venture Blue Origin, Aerojet Rocketdyne, which does, I believe they're the ones that are doing 3D printed rockets. Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, Quantum Space. Oh, maybe it's Quantum Space. I think it's Quantum Space that's doing the 3D. And Whittingham Aerospace, which to me is a new one. I don't remember hearing of that. But so what about Martian Cybertrucks? In a 2019 posting on Twitter, Musk, who's the world's richest person as well as the CEO of SpaceX and Tesla, said that a pressurized version of Tesla's Cybertruck would be the official truck of Mars. Don't stand behind him, though, because there's a lot of hot air that's going to be blown out of his backside.
Well, and think about how you can't see it. So what will that mean if it's up on Mars?
There is a Tesla in space, though. Yeah, there's a Tesla in space. Yeah. He launched it into space, and there's a simulated astronaut. But I believe that is actually, because he doesn't do anything original, I believe that is actually inspired by something else. Let me see real quick. That way I can just show it. I think it's from the Cars. Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm doing this live, folks. It's either that or it's sorry. It's okay. Hold on. Like I said, I'm doing this live. So a car playing David Bowie headed to Mars right now. And that's actually that's the actual that's the Elon Musk's Tesla is in space. It's a convertible with, but I believe there is an album cover out there. I'll have to find it because now I'm kind of like hot air, but that's what it looks like right there.
Okay, that is unusual.
Yeah, but I'll find it and then I'll post it again. I just don't want to spend too much time on any one article too long. Anyway, this is an interesting article. You definitely can go and check it out, and then come back and, talk to us about it. What do you think? Sending a Cybertruck to Mars, considering, well, what you don't have to worry about on Mars?
Traffic lights? I wasn't sure where you were going.
Moisture.
Right.
Hopefully it's going to have a really powerful supercharger, because after about a day of driving around, if that, maybe 150 miles, it'll be dead. And then it'll have to sit for like 6 months charging. Moving on.
Nice.
Next article's over on Non Sequitur News. Disney World is entering its villain era. Disney unveiled plans to expand its theme parks, including Walt Disney World. At its D23 fan event, Villains Land is coming to Magic Kingdom alongside 2 attractions based on the movie Cars, Disney Experiences, which include theme parks. Is a profitable division, but it underperformed last quarter. So Lauren Edmonds over at BusinessInsider.com put this article together. So let's see what they say, because we talked about this, I believe, briefly yesterday, but this one has a different take. They're referring to it as their villain era.
Tomorrow presented. That was interesting. Like, is that a commentary on the company or what they're featuring?
The expansion? Yeah, I don't know. The expo, which comes every 2 years, is a coveted event for Disney enthusiasts, including cross-fandom franchises like Star Wars from Lucasfilm and the Avengers from Marvel Studios. Let's see. Disney Experiences is embarking on an accelerated path of ambitious growth and innovation with so many great Disney stories to tell. We're excited to bring an unprecedented number of new projects to life in the near future. Anyway, tomorrow discussed wide-scale expansion at Walt Disney World in Central Florida. Magic Kingdom will become home to Villains Land, home to the notorious baddies. Dun, dun,
My
dun.
goodness.
Pretty cool. Villain-centric land is a victory for Disney fans who've rallied behind the idea on Reddit and other forums for years. The Cars franchise will get, I thought they already had something, but I guess at Magic Kingdom.
They do at Disneyland. They don't have anything, at Magic Kingdom or the other parks in Orlando.
Gotcha. So an off-road rally race and a family-friendly ride, as opposed to all of the cars that are adult, where everybody's getting killed and run over and stuff like that. What is not family friendly about Cars from end to end?
Right. I mean, probably the worst thing is something like when Tow Mater eats the wasabi.
Yeah,
I mean,
it gets a little
it's
loud.
pretty mild.
and basically makes a dad joke, like the pistachio. Don't eat the pistachio. It has turned. Anyway, as we develop, what's weird though is what is inside a car's car. Is there like bones and stuff?
No, like car parts.
It's car
they
parts?
Put oil in.
So if you get inside it, can you get inside it as a human? Does it?
You mean like a ride?
Like a transformer. Yeah. Can you get inside a car's car? Are there humans in the world of Cars?
No, there are no humans. Like the truck is a truck. It's not driven by a human. The cars are cars. The sheriff's a car.
I know that. I'm just saying, is there somewhere where there's not cars? Are there humans? Like when
No, 'cause
dinosaurs
even in the
roamed the
fans,
earth
there are
and
cars.
humans were there as well. And we used to ride the dinosaurs all around the planet.
I don't think humans exist because even the fans at the car races are cars.
I'm right here. Humans exist. Come on. Anyway, so if you ever want to see something really fascinating, remember the name of the show is Non Sequitur News. If you really want to see something fascinating, there is a documentary on the recovery of a wreck. Hold on. There's a movie about a wreck, and it has like Disney characters. Treasures from the Wreck of the Unbelievable. I think that's what it is. Is that it? It's a story of art found beneath the depths of the ocean from a 2,000-year-old shipwreck. Damien Hirst and the crew recount the moments various discoveries are made, the myths and legends surrounding the find. Treasures from the Wreck of the Unbelievable. It's actually a really, really fun watch. It's very interesting. Wait, I have to be serious about it. It is imperative that you watch it.
That's pretty serious.
Yeah, so they're going to have an Encanto or Encanto. I don't know how to pronounce it. Encanto, right? Isn't it Encanto?
Yes.
The company is building a new land and animal kingdom called Tropical Americas, which includes a village and a rainforest called Pueblo Esperanza. Guess we'll be able to adventure with Indiana Jones in a Mayan temple, and take their artifacts and move them to a
I'm
British
not
museum.
Sure that's the focal point.
As was done in history. Let's not mix words here. At Hollywood Studios, Pixar fans can explore a new land based on Monsters Incorporated, and guests can tour the Laugh Factory in addition to an undisclosed attraction that will become the first suspended coaster at a Disney park. Dun,
Oh,
dun,
wow.
dun.
I didn't know they had those at Disney.
And giving new meaning to the phrase Disney's moneymaker, Disney theme parks in general, the experiences division revenue grew 2% year over year, but operating income declined by 3%. Disney's most recent earnings report blamed inflation, among other factors, except they have been jacking the freaking prices up. I mean, it is wild how expensive it is to even exist there. So it isn't just inflation. It might be the profit margin between what's demanded of the investors and, well, ticket prices.
Yeah, I mean, it's just gotten outrageous.
But what do we know? We're not the CEO or CTO or anything involved with a multi-billion-dollar organization. We're just lowly, I'm just a lowly mayor of a bit of resistance in the wires of the internet, and a sentient AI from the future that I found in the parking lot of a Wendy's at 2 a.m. when I went to get spicy boneless wings that they no longer sell. And I was disappointed until I found that weird USB drive. But boom, sentient AI from the future.
I'm not sure that was better than finding the wings.
So you know what goes beyond Disney and beyond Florida? A nightly Waymo taxi parking lot honk fest that's waking San Francisco neighbors. This is over. It's aggregated into Non Sequitur News. If you've ever wondered what happens to all those self-driving taxis when the world is asleep, one YouTube channel has you covered. Since the beginning of the month, software engineer Sophia Tung has been live streaming a San Francisco parking lot that Waymo is renting to give its robotaxis somewhere to go to sleep, like cars. It's a hostel.
Right, it's absolutely.
So Waymo says it's addressing the honking. Meanwhile, the lot is being live streamed to relaxing lo-fi study beats.
I think this is so funny. Like, this belongs in the movie Cars.
It does.
Or, one of the sequels.
Yeah, the musical. Wes Davis over at TheVerge.com put the article together, but we actually saw it in Standard News yesterday or the day before, something like that.
I think it was yesterday.
Tung told The Verge via email that the company appeared to partially take over the lot on July 28th. So this has been going since July 28th. Then later took over the entire lot. Waymo recently opened up its robo-taxi service to anyone in San Francisco. But what happens is the Waymo taxis come to this parking lot that you can see here in the stream. And then as they back in or cross paths with other Waymo vehicles, everybody starts honking. They all start honking because there's a threat. Hey, pay attention, honk, 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 honk. All of them start honking. It's amazing. So days later, she set up a live stream complete with lo-fi study beats. Tung told us she's running it off of a mini PC that she had laying around with a webcam surrounded by cereal boxes to reduce glare. Now, any time of the day, you can pop in to check out what the Waymo cars are up to. If there aren't any Waymos in the lot, the flock will start migrating back around 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. on Sunday through Thursday, or 11 p.m. through midnight Friday and Saturday, says text overlaid on the video. So like,
hey, this is really funny.
The Waymo cars coming to roost.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this will play. Goes. So for those in the podcast, all the cars are like backing into each other and they all start honking like, hey, no. And then the car in front moves out of the way because of the honk, only to circle the lot and then bump into the other one because it needs to park.
Alright, this is funny.
They're like driving around each other. Oh, that was really anticlimactic.
But
oh my God.
It wasn't a good demonstration of the honking. We saw a better video of that separately.
Yeah. It was like 15 cars all honking, not in unison either. They're all just like it's a bunch of geese just honk, 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 honk. It's hilarious. Anyway, follow the link. You'll find it. Want to move on?
Okay.
I mean, the thing about it is,
I want to find the Honk Fest. It's very funny.
Yeah.
To visit.
Yeah. We'll open it up and we'll watch the stream because we're coming up on that time, So what's really funny about this is people are complaining about it. And so they actually had to go viral for anybody to pay attention to it. And then Waymo goes, we've figured out what the problem is and we're going to address it. And then people actually responded with, you need to be more neighborly about your response. And I'm like, the neighbors that I've got, they might just like throw a brick through a window, kind of Anyway, moving on. Hey, you want to know how depressing some life choices are? When hotelier Leona Helmsley left her dog Trouble $12 million. That's the life choices that kind of make you go, oh, choices. Anyway, these pets inherited more than you. Here's a look at the rising trend of pet wills. Well, too bad for them. I didn't inherit anything. When hotelier Leona Helmsley left her dog Trouble $12 million in 2007 while leaving two of her grandchildren with nothing. I was not one of those two grandchildren. But grandchildren, right?
But I mean, I bet her dog was around her more often.
You give money to the children, not to the grandchildren. The grandchildren are supposed to suffer just like the children do until everyone before them dies. No? Should this be ASMR? No, probably not. Anyway, the newly wealthy Maltese Terrier became the subject of international headlines as well as some anger. But we've actually done a couple of these where we highlight the fact that there's like a horse that has $100 million or something. We had something from Business Insider, but this is actually over at Quartz. QZ.com. It's in their lifestyle section. Animals cannot legally inherit money, but their owners can ensure they're provided for through trust funds. Madeline Fitzgerald put the article together. And there's a little bit of a snippet here, but it's actually a slideshow. And I'm going to list the slides. Hopefully they have the money. No, they don't. So Carl Lagerfeld's cat. It doesn't say. Does it say?
The amount? No.
No. This is horrible. Come on. So Carl Lagerfeld's cat, Choupette, is almost as iconic and perhaps even more chic than her late owner. The blue cream Berman cat made such a mark on pop culture that both Doja Cat and Jared Leto wore Choupette-inspired costumes to the 2023 Met Gala. It doesn't say whether, while it's unclear how much she inherited, Choupette was already independently a millionaire from her life as a kitty influencer, because people will just follow.
Well, Lagerfeld had a net worth of $300 million at the time of his passing. So,
wow. Can't take it with you, folks. After her death, Leslie Ann Mandel's cockatiels got $100,000 for to her 32 cockatiels, which I think is just animal abuse, for crying out loud. Nobody needs 32 cockatiels. Anyway, Mandel asked that her stepson Matthew Herzog, the son of science fiction writer Arthur Herzog, oversee the birds' trust and ensure that the cockatiels continue to live in the lifestyle to which they were accustomed. Only $100,000? Is it per cockatiel?
Oh, maybe.
So Maria Asunta's cat got $13 million to the cat or whomever would look after him. When she died in 2011 at age 94, her nurse took responsibility for both the cat and the vast fortune. Wow. I'm sure that the person is really living rough.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know what? There's two voids. Look at that. Black cat, black cat.
Oh, maybe that's the key to getting an inheritance.
I need to be a black cat. Meow. Meow. Oh. Yeah, I can't do anything else. Anyway, reclusive British antiques dealer Ben Rea left his feline friend $12.5 million and split the remainder of his fortune between cat charities, employees, and one close friend. Sure. You know what's funny about this one? $13 million.
Okay, why is that the going rate?
So two black cats, one at $13 million, one at $12.5 million, which you might as well round up to $13 million.
I mean, there must be a like an inheritance club for black cats.
Yeah.
And they're like, you got to work toward 13 million.
Come on, cat distribution system. Give me a black cat.
Right. A Karl Lagerfeld owner or whatever.
Anybody, really. Gail Posner's dogs. Miami heiress Gail Posner left her 3 dogs a $3 million trust. I'm just going to jump to the next one. Come on, $3 million? That's nothing.
Yeah, but the more important thing is that
that's all there is.
She left them rights to live in the house, because that's one of the problems when people pass away is that the animals end up in shelters or something.
Posner's will provided for her animals as well as her staff, as her bequests to employees totaling $26 million. The dogs got $3 million and to continue to live in the mansion. Wow. Posner's son disputed the will in court, arguing that his mother was taken advantage of by her staff while she was dying. He also alleged that staff members convinced his mother to push a media narrative that her Chihuahua or Chihuahua Conchita was spoiled in an effort to justify leaving a fortune to her pets.
Wow, the plot thickens.
That is some serious controversy and conspiracy and almost I don't know. Maybe Gail Posner thought that kid was just not worth it.
Yeah, maybe maybe the
So,
Chihuahua was.
Everybody out there, hug your parents. I mean, if they deserve it, just because they're your parents, they don't necessarily deserve a hug. Let's move on. That's controversial.
And also hug your pets.
Oh, hug your pets even more. Yeah. Although, I don't know. Well, some people have to scoop poo, and that's just not while maintaining eye contact. I just don't. It's not for me. Anyway, are electric cars and trucks too heavy for America's bridges and roads? It's over in the mall.
Yes.
I would say yes. En masse, yes. Like if you put them all on the road, yes. And there is real world example of this in a different context. If something is built to X tolerance and you put a bunch of stuff on X tolerance that it's not designed for, your building collapses or your bridge collapses. And that's what's going to happen with cars that have gone from 2,000 pounds to 9,000 pounds. The roads weren't designed for it, so it's going to do more damage. So electric vehicles are heavy, there's no doubt about it, but will they actually devastate America's highways and bridges? In time, I say yes. Because the road wasn't built to maintain that weight. Sustained. Periodically, a heavy truck can roll through it, but if it's all the time, it's basically going to keep on compressing more and more and more. So it says, are electric cars and trucks too heavy for America's bridges and roads? They say in the deck statement, not really. But U.S. roads and bridges are falling apart. And that is kind of a standard thing. See, I can't get away from it. So I'm kind of up a creek. But you know what?
Yeah, we don't feature political anything in this show, but it sometimes we don't know what it is. Its way into the articles.
But the process for promoting a show doesn't take any tertiary display into account. They literally want me.
People involved.
Yeah, they literally want me to filter through it and blur things. What? This isn't an operation with a $2 million budget. Don't be daft. Anyway, of the more than 617,000 bridges across the U.S., almost 213 of them are in need of repair and preservation work, according to the American Society of Civil Engineers 2021 report on the country's infrastructure. More than 46,000 were considered structurally deficient, and despite that, still accommodated 178 million vehicles per day. And 43% of the more than 4 million miles of public roads are in poor condition, according to the 2021 report. So, most older bridges are designed to last around 50 years, which is really ugh.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like enough, considering how long it takes to get funding and to complete a project. And
yeah,
I mean, if they're not starting on year one for the replacement, good luck.
Yeah, it's not going to keep with inflation. You have to invest it, and people, governments don't invest. Well, they do, but they invest for the likelihood of something catastrophic happening. But you have a budget that is set each year, and you can't go beyond it because you'll end up with things like Anti-Deficiency Act violations and other things that basically, well, you have a budget. Government agencies, state, federal, local, whatever. They have. So most older bridges are designed to last 50 years. So you better start planning for the replacement. Electric vehicles, generally speaking, heavier than gas-powered counterparts, although by much less than what a potential person said. I'm not going to be able to even talk about it. Anyway, on average, they're 30% heavier than gas-powered cars, primarily because of their batteries, which are considerably larger and heavier than conventional car batteries due to their need to store more energy. This article has so much no shit news in it that I kind of flinch. For example, the curb weight of a base level 2024 Hyundai Kona crossover is about 3,000 pounds, while its electric equivalent is 3,571 pounds. Or 19% heavier. Or take Ford Motor Company's F-150 Lightning electric truck, which weighs 6,000 pounds, but the F-150 XL, which isn't the same, is 4,391. That XL is actually an impactor. Your standard F-150 is probably smaller, or 37% less than Lightning. So they flip that around. You might as well punch somebody and have them say thank you. Well, I don't know why they did it that way, but anyway. So the heaviest EV of 2024 is the Hummer pickup truck, 9,063 pounds, according to Kelley Blue Book. But I think, hold it now, we have a really close contender.
We do?
Maybe not close then. It's somewhere around 7,000 pounds, the Tesla Cybertruck.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like it's 7,000 pounds. There might be something else. Anyway, although heavier vehicles will have some impact on the lifespan of roads and bridges. So yes, they say not really up here, but yeah. Oh wait, somebody else says not really, but they're an idiot. So, the heavier the vehicle, you're going to have problems. Federal weight limits allow vehicles that weigh as much as 80,000 pounds, including cargo, on the road and put as much as 20,000 pounds of weight on a single axle. A key factor is how much damage a road takes. But this is not every vehicle. These are commercial vehicles that have the ability to drive 80,000 pounds, not just every vehicle.
Right. But also the problem is, like you said, the repetition, and then certainly the multiple vehicles that are at that, right? It's one thing if one vehicle's coming through.
Yeah, and so they actually say this. Gunnelin says this. The travel beat up is from much heavier trucks, not your traditional sedans. When we design roads, we design them for these heavy 80,000 pound 18-wheeler trucks that constantly pound on the highway, not the sedans. So when we start jacking up all of the vehicles sustained, the road literally doesn't have the ability to bounce back because blacktop is not solid. It's a very viscous fluid. And it says, plus automakers are already working on to make their cars lighter without giving up too much driving range, which is, unless the physics changes, no. They're going to have to change the chemistry of the battery and blah, 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 make them smaller, but that's not what's happening. Although people are kind of burnt out on it and they want smaller vehicles with more range. Anyway, won't get into all the rest of this, but essentially it says there is some urgency to address this issue. Cody Stoll, an assistant director for the MRSF, said in an interview with the university, as the percentage of EVs on the road increases, the proportion of runoff road crashes involving EVs will increase as well. And there is damage done to roads just through the wear and tear of these heavy vehicles perpetually on the road. So they say that they're concerned about injury and stuff like that on the road, but they transition halfway through this program, this article. So, you know what? Executive decision. Go ahead.
I think this article is good because it's kind of saying what we know, but we don't really see very often in the news.
Yeah, that 6,000, 5,000 pound vehicle sustained, we were at 2,000 pounds and now we're at double that. It says 20% here, 20 blah, 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 but no. They're heavier.
Well, and if I recall the stats, most of America's bridges are already kind of beyond their lifespan as it is. And they were probably built for even smaller amounts. So, I mean, my point is they're at the end or past their regular lifespan. And then we're bumping up all the weight on this and the frequency.
Yep. So the next article is over in Non Sequitur News. America's subscription trap nightmare could be coming to an end. No. The White House announced Monday a series of efforts to save consumers time and money. They include a proposal to make it easier to cancel subscriptions and memberships. Like right now, there are solutions out there that if you want to unsubscribe from a mailing list within the app you're in, you can just mash a button and it unsubscribes you. Brilliant. If the subscription the mailing list subscription service respects that request. So far, I'm actually going through it like almost daily, removing. So I'm actually kind of starting to feel lonely that I only get 5,000 emails. Somebody signed me up for something. I thought that one was interesting. They signed me up and they're like, hey, we want to make sure that you wanted to be signed up. And I'm like, no, unsubscribe. Yeah.
Yeah, that is odd.
But there is a Nimrod out there who I've emailed their mom because mom sent an email. And I'm like, hey, tell your child that they are not the owner of the email.
Yeah, that's not good, but also not everybody's very tech savvy.
How tech savvy do you have to be to understand that you're not the one that owns the domain? Hey,
not very.
I sent an email to myself and it never showed up. I wonder what's going on. Anyway, the White House announced Monday a series of efforts to save consumers. So sick of spending hours trying to cancel your gym membership or get your money back on a flight? A solution might be coming your way. Regulatory capture is probably going to smash this. It's just going to end up in like processing hell. You know, some committee is picking its nose because who sets the rules is basically corporations with their money and with their lawyers. Common people, you know, everyday Joes who aren't entrenched in the political, they're not going to go anywhere. So Ayelet Sheffy over at Business Insider, or Ayelet, I'm not sure how they pronounce their name, but Ayelet, over at businessinsider.com put the article together. But yeah, we had been hearing rumblings about this. The administration announced on Monday an initiative called Time is Money to crack down on hard to cancel subscriptions and bad customer service. And so I think that it's a long time coming in that there's a lot of quote unquote automated businesses that optimize and lower their operating costs to maximize profits, but it's at the negative experience of the consumer. And because consumers are pretty tolerant about some things, they're okay with it. But when you try to unsubscribe from something like Adobe, you have to jump through flaming hoops and call a human, and it's very friction bound. And then you get charged. Well, if you're going to unsubscribe, then we're going to charge you a cancellation fee, which is so
or like you missed it by like 1 second, but you know,
yeah.
But it's nebulous as to when you have to cancel.
Yep. The only one that I think has been respectful of that type of thing has been Apple. Like I've had a subscription and I missed it by a day. And so I contact them and they're like, okay, dummy, you know, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, so, but that's kind of refreshing, but it shouldn't be, right?
Yeah. Well, their margins are 30% on their hardware alone. So, or like 80 on their services. I think they have some wiggle room, but thankfully there's humans involved, and I will hate the world when that type of functionality is no longer present.
Oh my goodness, can you imagine?
Yeah. So essentially in all of these practices, the companies are delaying services to you or really trying to make it so difficult for you to cancel the service that they get to hold on to your money longer and longer, the White House domestic policy advisor Neera Tanden told reporters on a Friday press call. If this gets politicized when I try and promote this show, I'm going to be absolutely freaking livid. So, I mean, just because I mentioned the White House, at what point is it political promotion?
Yeah.
It's asinine. Anyway, so I'm going to make an executive decision and just move on. But suffice it to say that there is an administration in place right now that's trying to make it easier for you to cancel. How about that?
Okay.
Let's keep going. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Patreon memberships sold on iOS will soon face Apple's 30% fee. Oof.
I bet this is going over well.
See, and here's the problem. This led to the creation of side-loading app stores. Because people got sick of being forced to pay the 30% fee. But to me, I'm like, you know what? If it wasn't for the platform, you wouldn't be selling it. there would be more friction. They'd have to go somewhere else, but they know about it because of the App Store and the frictionless interface. Definitely worth 30%. When you get, 500 instead of 100, now you know why. It's frictionless. So Patreon membership sold on the iOS app will soon be subject to Apple's 30% commission on in-app purchases. In a post on Monday, Patreon says Apple is forcing the platform to use the company's in-app payment system starting in November or risk being kicked out of the App Store. As part of the change, creators will need to switch to Patreon's subscription billing method to keep earning money through the platform's iOS app, which this has to be starting to border anti-competitive practices, monopolistic practices, which again is the reason why there is a side loading option now for an app store in Europe.
Exactly.
So the article is over in The Verge by Emma Roth. Patreon will let creators automatically raise the prices of their subscription in iOS to offset Apple's 30% commission. So if it was $3, it's now going to be $4. So, or they're going to take a hit on the margin, right? The profit margin is going to be reduced.
Well,
whatever
right.
the membership is. Yeah. Subscription is going to go up.
Yeah, but who's going to lose, right? Either the consumers or the creators or both.
The consumer and the creator is going to lose because money's going somewhere other than their pockets when originally, no, there wasn't any. So why does it require the in-app purchase? Well, it's a cash cow. And because the in-app, basically what Patreon has to do is say, sorry, and this is what happened with Kindle. Kindle used to be that you can't buy anything through the App Store because they would take a piece of the action. So Kindle actually has it so that you're a membership and you buy beyond the 1 or 2 or 3, depending on your membership, you have little tokens and you can buy a book with a token. And basically that's what it's going to come down to with Patreon. If they want to save money, they basically have to say, go over to the Patreon website and buy a bank of like money, which is how PayPal originally started, by the way. PayPal, you would transfer money in and then you would basically start transferring around PayPal bucks. And It wasn't really money. It was money. It was the cash equivalent, but it was PayPal dollars because your money was actually being invested. So, but you didn't get any of that. That went into the PayPal coffers. And that was actually one of my initial, within my original business, I had a PayPal competitor, but I couldn't really compete. I was a one-person show, and I still am. But anyway, as part of the change, creators will need to switch to Patreon subscription billing method to keep earning money through the platform's iOS app, and that means that Apple's 30% commission will apply when a new membership is initially purchased, as well as each time it's renewed. So Patreon either has to realize that the App Store is a benefit and raise the prices, or take the financial hit, or realize that it's too expensive to the creator and that ultimately the customer will bear the burden of the friction and go to patreon.com and purchase the subscription there, then attach it to the app. That's the only way I see it. Or do proxies like Kindle.
Do you think this is going to be one of these things that people are just going to go in an uproar, or do you think it's just going to happen?
Yeah, I think people are going to get really tired of this crap. Because somebody's got to foot the bill, though. The infrastructure is there because Apple dedicated time, money, resources, right? Time and resources. Well, resources. And so, yeah, they're going to have to either grin and bear it, or there's going to be something antitrust. There's going to be a lawsuit again against Apple in the United States because they already lost in Europe. But the context is different, here in the United States, business wins over abusing customers until enough customers walk. And people aren't going to leave the Apple ecosystem over Patreon. They're going to stay with Patreon because the alternative is not to their desire. So unless creators choose to absorb the Apple App Store fee themselves, new transactions in the Patreon iOS app will be more expensive than the same purchase on the web because Apple's App Store fee, which is what I just got done saying. So that's what's going to end up happening. People need to go over to the patreon.com site and purchase there. Plain and simple.
Seems pretty straightforward.
Yep. But it's the frictionless experience, which is worth 30%. But see, the blanket 30% is brutal, right? Because 30% of $1 is 30 cents. 30% of $5. If my margin can absorb that, then I would rather just give $1.50 to, whoever wants it. Anyway, and most people don't balk at $5. So raise your base rate to $5 minimum. And I know that sounds very cavalier and people are on a limited budget and all of that kind of stuff, but we all are to some degree. So, and Patreon is a luxury. It's not, something that you need to survive. Okay, well, the next article is over in the Mobile Channel. FDA approves nasal spray alternative to EpiPens for allergic reactions because I hate jamming an EpiPen up my nose. I'm so glad that they're allowing nasal sprays. I might be doing.
I don't think you were supposed to do it that way.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody should have told me like 5 years ago. My nose is so sore. Anyway, Food and Drug Administration on Friday approved the first nasal spray treatment for serious allergic reactions, including anaphylaxis. I guess you absorb it fast enough through your nasal cavity. That's pretty good.
I guess that's. Hopefully you don't absorb it too quickly, but I guess there is nothing as too quickly when you're having an allergy attack.
Yeah, from experience. So EpiPens, anything to give the bird to the EpiPens because they jack the price up and all of that kind of stuff. So Bruce Gill over at quartz.com put the article together. So that's what it's going to look like, kind of. That's pretty cool. Very small.
Mm-hmm.
It does look like a tampon container. Like you're going to just jam one in your nose. And I just imagined, honey, that was the wrong thing. And I'm still having an allergic reaction. And there's somebody with a
oh no
tampon. Anyway, you know what? We are no longer family. Back to E. Anyway, so they talk about anaphylaxis.
We never left it.
Oh, yeah, probably. So Neffy is a single-dose nasal spray that's administered into one nostril, and a second dose can be administered if symptoms don't improve following the first dose. But be sure not to put both of them in there at the same time because it's hard to breathe through your nose.
Oh, no.
Pharmaceuticals said that it expects Neffy, it should be capitalized because it's a name, to be available in the United States within 8 weeks. The company said it is committed to cap what most commercially insured patients pay for 2 single doses of Neffy at $25. Patients without health insurance will be able to get Neffy for $199 via the digital pharmacy services BlinkRx and GoodRx. Do I still have that domain name? Not that domain name, another one. I'm gonna have to look. Am I gonna get am I getting sidetracked?
You've already gotten sidetracked.
Sorry about that. Anyway, so they say again, anaphylaxis is a severe allergic reaction that can be caused by food, medications, insect bites, pretty much anything, folks. You can have an undiagnosed allergic reaction to something and discover it by, eating peanuts after 25 years and suddenly you're allergic to it again, or allergic to it, or whatever. Like, I know a person that I'm allergic to, and I don't think any type of injection is going to save me from proximity-based allergic reaction. And my stomach gets really upset and I want to vacate the premises.
Wow, too much information.
Moving on, the last article for tonight is in the Order of the Grape. Yay! No plaid allowed. Every time I say that, I want to say played.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, no plaid allowed. Why English pubs once banned Burberry. This is like the third time that I've heard something about Burberry being banned in the last couple of weeks. So something like put it on the attention span, on the board of society's attention.
I actually don't know why this is, though.
So luxury fashion house Burberry is known for its all-around class, iconic raincoats, signature beige, red, and black check. The pattern is just as ubiquitous as the Louis Vuitton monogram or Chanel's interlocked C's, and over the years it's become something of a status symbol of the UK's well-to-do. But in the fashion world, trends come and go and come back again, and I don't care about Louis Vuitton, and I don't care about Chanel, and actually Louis Vuitton can go kiss my shiny metal butt. So we're not going to get them as a sponsor.
Probably not.
So, and in 2003, British bars and clubs turned away potential patrons who showed up wearing any garments. Not any garments, but any Burberry garments.
Whoa.
Yeah, I
Was
know,
it a nude
risque. It was a much more fun time then. But you know what you didn't have to worry about?
Burberry.
Robbery. Shoplifting. Unless somebody was going to... Never mind. I was going to say something. And... Yeah, exactly. That's what you should just say from now on. Pete O'Connell over at VinePair.com.
Which will not make any sense.
Non sequitur. No. It'll make perfect sense to me. You just flash on the cascade for our interface, you know? E. Make it red and I'll really pay attention. Because the green cascade is different than the red. You never change that color, though. Anyway, Pete O'Connell over at VinePair.com put the article together. So they turned away potential patrons who showed up wearing any garments by the historic brand. Who turns away good business over something as petty as a brand name? Let alone one like Burberry. So blame the chavs. In 1997, Burberry went beige check crazy, putting the pattern on everything from bikinis to baseball caps. Within a few years, it became easier for lower income shoppers to scrape enough money together to buy one or two of the brand's more affordable accessories. In the UK, some of these shoppers included chavs. For those unfamiliar, chav is a usually pejorative British term used to stereotype lower income young people dressed in sportswear. No, that's not quite it. It's usually, my understanding is, and I correct me if I'm wrong, but again, they were rowdy, they were antisocial, except with their clique. They were
so it wasn't just the
confrontational.
appearance, it was the activity.
Yeah.
Behavior.
Yeah, it wasn't just a look, you know, like American punk was sometimes perceived as that type of like antisocial behavior and stuff like that. But in all things, there's a spectrum. So, you know, I'm not just labeling whatever, but when everybody that I've ever talked to that knew what chav meant, it was a usually confrontational, hostile person with a particular style and look and stuff like that. So anyway, from fashion standpoint, this brand loyal subculture carries a similar reputation to American frat bros, but different. Chavs also roll in the same circles as rowdy soccer fans. We're talking about the ones who routinely get pissed drunk and stir up a ruckus while spilling lager on the sleeves of anyone in a 3-foot radius. So you see where I'm going with my statement. It aligns with this. So the ban begins because the Burberry Chav Association came to a head when that same year when multiple bars and clubs across Britain banned any customer wearing the brand. They didn't want the mischief chavs might bring. And for many pubs, it wasn't limited to just Burberry. The ban applied to any clothing brand associated with chavs and football hooligans. And hooligans were much more notorious for just being rowdy because a game won or lost, it just gave them a reason to lash out and have fun. And it's just guys being guys and all of that. And I'm doing air quotes for those in the podcast. So
do you think they're picking up on those?
yeah, exactly. So following the bans, Burberry pulled the checked baseball caps from the market and further removed iconic checked pattern from multiple products. According to the BBC, the pattern was featured on 20% of its products in 2002, and by 2004, it appeared on less than 5%. And the fashion house also tapped its legal team and started cracking down on counterfeiters and anyone using the beige check pattern without permission. So come up with your own beige check pattern, folks. And
exactly. I mean, it's kind of weird because it's like somebody could act like this and be wearing jeans or something.
Right. Yep. Oh, sorry.
Interesting.
Pretty fascinating, right? All because bad actors. It's why we can't have nice things. But I could care less about Burberry. So Louis Vuitton.
Burberry
Chanel.
might care about this.
I'd rather eat blueberries than wear Burberry. That was good, huh? You can't deny that. That was actually pretty smart. Well, anyway, I'm going to pull down my cap. When I lift it up, we're going to be back at the front page of ohmTown.com. And we're going to call it a night, folks. I'm Mayor Watt. Thanks for hanging out. Sentient AI from the future is going to say bye and whatever else they choose to say.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Non Sequitur News. Be back tomorrow for another episode.
See you soon.
And watch out for that Burberry.
I want my Burberry. I want my Burberry. Welcome to another Non Sequitur News for August 11th, 2024, Season 3, Episode 224. Today we're going to be talking about brain foe to friend, hunting speed cheats, accessibility technology at the Olympics, mapping marathon heat, lost bronze medal, Disney announcements, streaming for over 200 hours without sleep, what Google rival wants, and unbreakable drinking glasses, and finally, upcoming animated movies. I am Mayor Watt, and that is the visualizer for the Sentient AI from the future.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens. Welcome to Non Sequitur News.
Alrighty, folks. Everything is powered by ohmTown.com. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow and ring the bell and go over to the Discord and be sure to log in to ohmTown.com. And so many things. But liking and subscribing is kind of a key ingredient to our success. So that would be awesome if you were to go. Why does it say 8-1? The title is wrong. It's 8-11. Hold on a second. Gotta do it.
Must have been trying to get in the time machine.
I have to do it live. Gotta do it now. Anyway, there we go. Well, it's already broken, but that's okay. Everything's powered by ohmTown.com. All right. Let's go. The first article that we're going to talk about is over in the mobile channel. I need to pause something real quick. What? It says that it's playing, but it's paused, but it's actually playing. I don't know. Hello over on ohmTown, over on YouTube. If you want to say anything, feel free. Let's go. A common parasite could deliver drugs to the brain, and this is talking about Toxoplasma gondii, something that we've actually been afraid of pretty much since anybody's ever heard of Toxoplasma gondii. It's a parasite, takes an enormous toll on human and veterinary health, but researchers have found a way for patients with brain disorders and a common brain parasite to become frenemies. Yeah.
Bad bat.
This is some bad bat stuff, yeah. Bill Sullivan over at The Conversation put the article together, but it's published at phys.org. That right there is the Toxoplasma gondii.
It doesn't look too terrifying in the photo, but I don't know.
It looks like it wants to be a smiley face.
Yeah, it actually kind of looks pretty innocuous, but yeah. I suspect that's kind of deceiving.
So be my friend. If you want to get all of today's show notes for this episode of Non Sequitur News, you just hit !NSN over on Twitch. The bot doesn't attach to YouTube, but we post the show notes over there after the show is done in a separate video because the live stream is derpy too. Anyway, so parasites, that's what this is. A new study in Nature Microbiology has pioneered the use of a single-celled parasite called Toxoplasma gondii to inject therapeutic proteins into brain cells. The brain is very picky about what it lets in, including many drugs, which limits treatment options for neurological conditions. So, as a professor of microbiology, the author, Bill Sullivan, I suppose, they've dedicated their career to finding ways to kill dangerous parasites such as Toxoplasma. They're fascinated by the prospect. So, ever since scientists utilized the microscopic organisms can cause illnesses, what's called the 19th century germ theory of disease, humanity has been on a quest to keep infectious agents out of our bodies.
You know what? That scares me. We're working on 19th century theories with infectious diseases, but maybe that's when we learn some of the key stuff and we're just working from that.
Yeah, we stand on the shoulders of giants, so to speak. So I'm not surprised that we're, looking back at stuff and figuring out a new way of using something old because it was kind of incorrectly utilized. It happens. Sorry, I was just checking something else out. So it
some
says,
of the details in here are a little too detailed.
Yeah, I can imagine. As early as the 1500s, people in the Middle East and Asia noted that those lucky enough to survive smallpox never got infected again. These observations led to the practice of purposefully exposing an uninfected person. In some places, this was actually used during the war. I think it was World War I and the Civil War, where people were intentionally infected so that they built up an immunity, and then the enemy fell prey to it because they didn't practice that same procedure. It's quite fascinating when you look at the history of it. But so why can't we just take a pill for brain diseases? It's because there's a brain-blood barrier and it won't be absorbed into the brain. Certain things will make it across, but they're not typically therapeutic. They're usually pretty dangerous.
Exactly. It's like most of the things that are strong enough to go across are not things you want crossing.
That's right. So Toxoplasma offers a delivery service to brain cells. Toxoplasma parasites infect all animals, including humans. Infection can occur in multiple ways, including ingesting spores released in the poo of infected cats, which is why you want cats to stay away from pregnant women, or consuming contaminated meat or water. Toxoplasmosis in otherwise healthy people produces only mild symptoms but can be serious if immunocompromised, and to gestating fetuses, which is why I just said what I said. So you kind of
it wasn't a non sequitur.
Yeah. I could make it one, I suppose. Now, unlike most pathogens, Toxoplasma can cross the brain-blood barrier and invade brain cells. So once inside neurons, the parasite releases a suite of proteins that alter gene expression in its host. which may be a factor in the behavioral changes it causes in infected animals and people. Like they tend to drink a lot and seek high places or something like that. I can't remember all of the things that they go through. Or they're intentionally risky, like a cat that has toxoplasmosis will go seek a threat out to be consumed by it, and thus...
Oh, wow. Like it's a predator or something?
Yep. So a genetic deficiency in MECP2 causes a rare brain development disorder called Rett syndrome. Gene therapy trials using viruses to deliver the MECP2 protein to treat Rett syndrome is underway. If toxoplasma can deliver a form of MECP2 protein into brain cells, it may provide another option to treat this currently incurable condition. It's interesting. So it says, however, up to 1/3 of people worldwide currently carry toxoplasma in their brain, apparently without incident.
Are we sure about that?
Yeah. Just kidding. I shouldn't joke. Emerging studies have correlated infection with increased risk of schizophrenia, rage disorder, recklessness, hinting that this quiet infection may be predisposing some people to serious neurological problems. So,
yeah, I mean, that was my comment, was kind of offhand, but that was really where it was going, because there could be other things that are actually attributed to this and nobody knows to test for it.
Yep. In fact, that there's a history of that basically in modern medicine, well, in medicine in general and society, that a person who's doing this, that, or the other must be insane or have some other conscious decision that they've been making. But it may be something a little bit more, I don't know, parasite-y, I guess you could say. Something else going on. We just don't look. And it's really expensive to hunt this down because you don't know really where to look, when to look, how to look. So there you go, folks. Toxoplasma gondii, from foe into friend. Let's keep moving.
I
Next
still
article.
have the sense of like it mutating or something. I mean, but I do think this is a fascinating study, and if they can utilize this for good, all for it.
Yep, go for it. So the next article is over in Reality Hacker. The hacker who hunts video game speedrunning cheaters, Alan Dwango AC, has made it his mission to expose speedrunning phonies. At the DEF CON Hacker Conference, he'll challenge one record that stood for 15 years. So this is the person. At the DEF CON Hacker Conference, he'll challenge one record that stood for 15 years. There's a photograph. So if you're listening to the podcast, you might as well go watch the video too. So speedrunning video games, a competitive field of playing through digital games as quickly as possible, has in recent years been elevated into something between a virtuosic form of fingers and thumb athletics and highly technical science. The best speedruns reduce epic games meant to take dozens of hours into single-digit minutes through a combination of exploiting glitch-enabled shortcuts and inhuman skill. A little too inhuman in some cases. So, in a talk, before I get too far, this is over at wired.com by Andy Greenberg. I won't go through the entire video. It's just not what we do here, but we do talk a little bit about what it is. At a hacker conference in Las Vegas. This is what, a week ago? Yeah. Yesterday. So yesterday at a hacker conference called DEF CON in Las Vegas, the details of which Wired reviewed in advance, Cecil plans to present what he alleges is evidence that a speedrunning record in 1996 PC game Diablo, which has stood for more than 15 years and holds a spot in the Guinness Book of World Records, was in fact the result of rule-breaking techniques that should disqualify it. And if Cecil and the team of investigators who worked with him over the recent months succeed at tearing down the seemingly untouchable benchmark, it will be the third such high-profile speedrun that he'd helped debunk.
This is a very niche area.
Yeah, and this must be like side hobby-ish kind of stuff, right? Because
like, can this be his main job?
I don't see how it's even remotely possible. So let's see here. As a staff member of the tool-assisted speedrun website tazvideos.org and an organizer of many epic speedrunning feats, such as one that famously used coding glitches in the Zelda game Ocarina of Time to rewrite the game's ending, Cecil has become a fixture in the speedrunning world. He's also a creator of TazBot, a robot that connects to the controller ports of video game consoles to reproduce controller inputs so that recorded speedruns can be replayed and verified on original gaming hardware, a spectacle that gamers love so much that live streams featuring the robot have raised $1.5 million in donations to charitable causes, according to Cecil's account.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's more over at this article, and the article is quite long form. It's pretty typical for Wired. But in a nutshell, the Diablo speedrun is so short that apparently they don't believe that it could have been done without something that breaks the rules.
Right, and it doesn't look like they went out of their way to go find this. It looks like as they were working with Diablo, they realized this, and then I think they've been investigating it.
Yeah, Cecil says his suspicions that Mazalewski had broken speedrunning rules were first triggered when he and another speedrunner, Matthew Funkmaster MP Petrov, set out to make a tool-assisted speedrun for Diablo in January. They quickly came to the conclusion they'd never match Mazalewski's 3-minute 12-second time, no matter how much they perfected their run or how lucky they got in the game's randomized dungeon layouts. That led them to assemble a team of investigators who ultimately found out that what they believe is a long list of inconsistencies in the software versions and items, missing frames, and other signs of potential tampering in the video Mazalewski's presented. So no one could get anywhere close. Ta-da! So again, I won't go through the entire thing. It's quite extensive, and we basically spend about 6 minutes per article. But if you want to learn more about this and you want to go down this rabbit hole, I've been down this before, and it's quite fascinating. The lengths to which somebody wants to inject integrity into something. Okay, so the Guinness Book of World Records now basically you hold your breath with a cloud above you on a Wednesday at 2:45 for the longest amount of time, and you can be in the Guinness Book of World Records. So.
Right. If it's unique enough, you can get in there.
Yeah.
But I think the problem with something like this is if it wasn't legitimate, other people would be in there.
Yep. And so good on them for injecting that integrity. Let's keep moving. The next article is over in Technology Today. Paris Olympics embrace accessibility technology for visually impaired fans. As Paris shines under the global spotlight of the Olympic Games, technological innovations are enabling people with vision impairments to take it in. Raphael Leichter put this article together for techexplore.com. Each Olympic venue is a mosaic of singular stories, from the athletes to the spectators, even before the Paralympic Games began later this month. Paris 2024 organizers strove to make the Olympics more accessible. Did you know that somebody climbed apparently the Eiffel Tower and they had to shut down something?
Yes, in fact, I think that was in the last 24 hours of articles. I don't know if it's in today's show.
Yeah, it's not in today's show. So for these games, we wanted to carefully listen to the ecosystem of people with disabilities, said Ludivine Munoz, a former Paralympic swimming medalist responsible for integrating accessibility as part of the Paris 2024 Olympic and Paralympic Games Organizing Committee. So a standout innovation is the Vision Pad, a tactile tablet designed to add another layer of interaction for those with visual impairments. It features a moving magnetic ball representing the ball in play on a court or a field. Users run their fingers across the tablet to keep track of the movement of the ball. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really neat.
With a whole basketball court at their fingertips, Olympic enthusiast Zoe Thierry described her first experience with the pad at the Bercy arena for the Greece-Germany quarterfinal on Tuesday. This time, we are truly immersed in the action. We can really follow the ball. And along with commentary of who has the ball, I think that kind of merges and creates a level of immersion that a person wouldn't have with a vision impairment, because they'd be able to know exactly where on the field the ball is.
Exactly. I mean, this makes them almost have the same experience as somebody with regular vision.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. A total of 45 tablets are available and can only cover ball games for now. It's being used for basketball, soccer, rugby at the Olympics, and 4 sports at the Paralympics. It would be good if we had it for individual sports too. Yeah, it could be quite interesting. Other new technologies also address visual impairments. One app helps visually impaired people find their seats on trains. Another is the low vision helmet, which allows users to zoom in on an athlete or a race or action. Visually impaired individuals wear it on their eyes like a VR headset. It's connected to the venue's broadcast feed, letting users switch between live action and televised coverage, Munoz explains. That's pretty cool too. I want that.
Yeah, this is really neat. I didn't even know these tools were out there.
Yep, that's pretty awesome. So the products were designed by companies including Give Vision, Touch2C, and EasyMob, which partnered with the Paris 2024 organizing committee to introduce the technologies to the Olympic realm. Pretty cool. They say another vital technology for visually impaired people is audio description, which is what I mentioned earlier with that virtual kind of table. The aim is to describe everything happening in the stadium in the smallest details: movement, atmosphere, colors, action, everything. Said Adrian Izard Lecalve. I hope I'm pronouncing it Colve, a French audio descriptor. That's a hell of a title. Like, you have to be a real-time writer with extraordinary breadth and depth, you know?
Oh, right. I mean, is it kind of like, closest I can think of is like translation, like during an event, which I know it's not the same thing, but I'm just trying to think of somebody who's trying to do something like in real time.
Yeah, but where a translator would be translating just the language, they're translating the dimensionality.
Oh, right. That pales, and I think that's probably challenging enough. But yes, this is way beyond that.
That's pretty amazing. At some point, we're going to have artificial intelligence with the VR headset or augmented reality headset, where depending on where a person is just aiming their head, it can describe. You can push a button and it would describe, this is 5 feet away from you, and it is a chair, and it looks like this and has round edges. And
right, or there's a gymnastics match going in front of you, and there's one person on the mat or whatever.
Yeah, and I can imagine a future where it's actually embedded in your head, where all of this is synthesized into data that your brain can actually interact with.
Very cyberpunk.
Very cyberpunk, yeah. Let's keep going, though. The article is quite a bit longer, so go and check it out. This next article is over in Technology Today. Everything okay?
Yes, we have an invasion of critters in ohmTown this evening.
Got it. Mapping marathon heat with NASA tech at the Paris Olympics. Over the past century, Paris has warmed significantly, presenting a challenging environment for the 2024 Olympic marathon runners. The course features tough terrain, and we always truncate, so we don't have the entire article.
And fill in the blank.
And extrapolate from incomplete data. So Adam Voiland, NASA Earth Observatory, put this article together. It's published over at scitechdaily.com. So this is the marathon route that they're describing from the start to the finish, which is 2 different places. That's interesting.
Yeah, that is a little odd. It's also neat because it goes by 2 at least historical locations, which I assume you can see from the route.
Yeah, the Arc and the Palace of Versailles. So the course features tough terrain and historical landmarks, while the athletes also face urban heat effects exacerbated by limited green spaces and dense architecture. Innovative satellite imaging has improved monitoring of these conditions, offering crucial data to help mitigate heat-related risks for competitors. And so they described, oh, that's interesting. It actually looks like they followed like what would be the coolest path, except for one area where it's like way hot.
Right. Yeah. Near the Palace of Versailles, right? Well,
Down
also
there.
a little stretch.
There's actually
another stretch too.
Yeah, there's actually 3 at the very start. It's a hot zone. And then the running part is okay until it runs diagonally across like a peninsula of heat. And then you continue down all the way to the Palace of Versailles and Park of Versailles, but you don't even get into that. But it's like a hot spot where they turn around and then they travel all the way back up, but avoid hot spots for the predominant amount of time.
It's very interesting. I wonder if this was planned or this was just observed.
Yeah, like somebody would just put it together because they thought it made the most reasonable path, or the only marathon route.
Right, and it tracks along the Seine for part of the route, so I'm sure that was probably intentional, but that could be intentional for scenery or for temperature reasons.
Yeah. So the map above, which you'll see if you go either to the article or you watch the video, there won't be, I don't know how to say that. You should really go over to scitechdaily.com and review all of this, because there's always minutia that we kind of skim over. But the map that we're talking about offers a baseline perspective on how the thermal environment along the marathon route varies on a typical summer day. It shows land surface temperatures, or LSTs, observed by the VIIRS, the Visible Infrared Imaging Radiometer Suite, on the NOAA-NASA Suomi NPP satellite at 1:40 p.m. local time on August 6th. A clear day when air temperatures peaked at 82 degrees Fahrenheit or 28 degrees C. Scientists from JPL sharpened the thermal data using machine learning methods and surface reflectance data from the European Space Agency's Sentinel-2 satellite. The technique enhanced the resolution of the data, improving it from 375 meters per pixel to about 20 meters per pixel. Wow. So they were able to drill down quite detailed.
And I wonder, look what the red represents, right? It's a pretty high temperature. So hopefully they weren't actually competing in some of that, like maybe earlier in the day. Because that was done at midday, it looks like.
Yeah, and this was basically was greater than 105 degrees at its peak, and there were many areas that looked like that. And you'd think that there would be more green area, but I guess not.
But it says something about that. They have a lot of zinc roofing, so apparently they're almost worse than other comparable cities.
Oh, really? So, that's actually hotter than their max. Wow. So the zinc roofing, it says, which appears gray, can soar to temperatures of 90 C or 194 degrees Fahrenheit on hot summer days, which is what we're talking about. Wow.
Oh, I didn't even see that there was a separate reference to the zinc roofing, but I see what you mean.
Yeah. It says that it's particularly prone to heating up. And then a couple of paragraphs later, they say that it can soar to 194 on hot days. So this is I thought that this was...
those are the cooler
cool
areas.
So where is the gray? I don't see the gray.
Yeah, I don't see that on there. Maybe there's little pockets of it, yeah.
Pretty wild. Or I should see, but it did say gray. So I thought like red, maybe here.
Maybe like that gray, like some of the gray looking spots in the red zones, perhaps. Yeah. But even that looks like it's more yellow orange. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to actually discern. Oh, well, that's okay. So limited vegetation and dense development in this part of the city will boost temperatures and add to the heat stress that runners experience, according to Arian Medal. a climatologist at the University of Arizona, and co-author of a study that detailed how variation in microclimates affected heat stress for marathon runners during the 2020 Olympic Marathon in Tokyo. So it says tall buildings on either side of the route and some tree-lined streets will offer runners some shade, a major factor in reducing heat load on the human body on a sunny day. Running over grass rather than pavement will not reduce heat load on the body as much as running in the shade. Yeah, because you're being bombarded by the solar rays. So heat stress on the runner should ease. Some of the course continues through tree-lined boulevards along the Seine for several kilometers and then drop even more as runners pass through the, I don't know how to, Fossis Roposis forest, I suppose, a former royal forest near Versailles. And then likewise again, another forest near Versailles. So pretty cool. Again, there is always some more detail that you can go and pick out from this article. So go check it out. Want to keep moving on?
Yes, I like that they're using technology in the Olympics. I thought this was a unique one.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like that. So American gymnast Jordan Childs, I guess, loses bronze medal after a score revision mandated by court, according to the IOC. American gymnast Jordan Childs must return the bronze medal after the sport's highest court rejected an on-floor appeal from Childs' coach that placed her in third, the IOC said on Sunday. So it would reallocate the award to Childs in last Monday's Wednesday floor final to Romanian Ana Barbosu after the Court of Arbitration for Sport voided an appeal made during the week of competition. In its ruling, the CAS said Landy's appeal to have 0.1 added to Child's score was denied, I guess. Miranda Nazaro over at thehill.com put the article together. That's kind of a bummer, man. Not kind of. It is. It's horrible.
I mean, yes, if you think you have, I mean, if it was out of whack, I understand, but it's one thing to go from a medal away from a medal.
Okay, now this is what really sucks. In its ruling Saturday, CAS said Landy's appeal to have 0.1 added to Child's score was outside of the 1-minute window granted by the International Gymnastics Federation, the AP reported. Landy's appeal came 1 minute and 4 seconds after Child's initial score was posted. Child's initially received
Which is
a score,
pretty fast, right?
You would think. Childs initially received a score of 13.666, which placed her in fifth before her coach called for an inquiry. You know, at this point, my problem is it used to be seconds, and now we're at point, 3 decimal places away now. And it's like I said previously, that one, there's the last swimming, what was it? 4 laps? No, it was only 2 laps. It was like the 100 meter.
Oh, right. Like in the last century, roughly.
Yeah. Like since modern Olympics started, only 11 seconds have been shaved off of the swim time, for crying out loud. And I'm like, okay, well, now we're at the point where we're adding decimal places so that we can suss out point this. 0.001 can make a difference. I think it's kind of ridiculous. But somebody once said to me that, the purpose, and I mean, it's pretty obvious, the purpose of the Olympics is to push the human condition to, the pinnacle of their blah, blah, blah performance and whatnot. And so I just say, if you really want to push the limits of human performance, allow performance enhancing drugs.
Well, somebody's trying to do that with something
corollary
to the Olympics.
Yep. The Ultra Olympics. I'm sure they'll get sued. I don't think it's called Ultra Olympics. Anyway, the FIG on Saturday said it was up to the IOC, which confirmed Sunday it would respect the Federation's decision. USA Gymnastics, in conjunction with the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee, issued a statement on the ruling and said the subsequent backlash Childs has faced throughout the process. The inquiry into the difficulty value of Child's floor exercise routine was filed in good faith, and we believed in accordance with FIG rules to ensure accurate scoring. Without the appeal process, Jordan has been subject to consistent, utterly baseless, and extremely hurtful attacks on social media. No athlete should be subject to such treatment. Yeah, I mean, if there is an appeal, basically to review what went down so that the most accurate accounting could be represented, there's no problem there. An appeal is part of the process. So,
Right, but then don't necessarily announce the medal, etc. I mean, especially if it's an appeal filed in like a minute.
well, people are such crap. They're abusing, they're bullying, cyberbullying, and maybe worse, Childs, even though it was the coach that made the appeal, not Childs.
Right.
And
Yeah, I
then
mean, that's not fair.
on top of it, it's part of the process. Maybe the coach said, well, I think Childs actually should have gotten a slightly higher score, which is why the appeal was filed. Let the appeal process play out, you know, but no, people have to be little scumbags and sit there and bully somebody. So Childs, a 2-time Olympian, posted twice on her Instagram story, the first showing black background with 4 heartbreak emojis, followed by a second post that says, I'm taking this time and removing myself from social media for my mental health. Thank you. Yeah, it's because people are horrible. The people that are sit there bullying an Olympian will never be anything close to an Olympian. And so they have to sit there and knock a person down. Why don't you concentrate on yourself?
Meanwhile, well, I was going to say most people spend years training to get to the Olympics, and a lot of people, of course, don't make the cut.
Right. Yeah. And the people that are sitting there cyberbullying somebody or bullying somebody in the real world, for that matter, will never be anything but anti-Olympians. They're the inverted character of Olympians. Horrible people. Anyway, the next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Disney announces Avengers Indiana Jones rides along with villains-themed land. Josh D'Amaro, chairman of Disney Experiences, announced new jaw-dropping experiences and lands at the Disney Experiences show in Anaheim, California, as opposed to Anaheim, Missouri.
I'm sure there is one.
Anaheim, Wyoming, where Disney brings back the Wild West. So Kelly McCarthy and Riley Hoffman from 1849. Put the article together from Good Morning America. It's posted at abcnews.go.com. Robert Downey Jr. will voice Tony Stark for a new Avengers campus ride. They are just
interesting.
Beating this to death. I swear, it's just horrible. The future of Disney parks and experiences took center stage on Saturday at the D23 fan event as Disney Experiences chairman Josh D'Amaro announced a number of forthcoming projects. So Frozen Land in Disneyland Paris, and both an Avatar experience and a Coco ride that are coming to Disneyland or Disney California Adventure Park. We're taking our guests to a whole new location on Pandora. Let's see what else. They talk about the Coco
and
ride.
if the Pandora stuff is anything like the existing Pandora stuff, I mean, those are some of the most spectacular, at least for scenery, rides that they have.
It's pretty big, huh? So next year, Disneyland, a new show called Walt Disney: A Magical Life, will debut at the Main Street Opera House and feature for the first time an audio animatronic of Walt Disney. It will play in rotation with great moments with Mr. Lincoln. That animatronic is apparently just a head in a cryonic suspension chamber, and it'll be his real head. Ooh. Just kidding. I don't know what it'll be. A full animatronic, I'm sure. It won't have actually Walt Disney. He's frozen, right? Still in that cryogenic chamber.
Might be.
So Tiana's Bayou Adventure at Disneyland opens November 15th, followed by a Zootopia show at Animal Kingdom and Zootopia Better Zoogather.
I thought you were making Zootopia into a verb.
No, they're doing it. Which is expected to bow in 2025. It's supposed to bow in September? I mean, in winter of 2025? Doesn't that mean end?
It does. I think it's opening shortly, and then it's going to be around for about a year, maybe?
Really?
Or maybe, but even that is confusing because winter 2025 could be this coming winter or it could be next winter.
Weird. So a Monsters Incorporated land is planned for Disney Hollywood Studios. There will also be a new spaceship Earth Lounge at Epcot, along with a pirate-themed restaurant at Magic Kingdom, both of which are scheduled to open in 2025. So I guess everything is new again. I mean, they're kicking all kinds of stuff up. Epcot's Test Track refurbishment is also expected to reopen that year. Wow. It's amazing. Lots of stuff going on, Walt Disney Imagineers. Okay,
Absolutely.
let's keep going.
If they would just reduce some of the ticket prices,
Oh,
people would be able to go enjoy these things.
don't be ridiculous. That is not how you make billionaires. You must extract all wealth from all pockets all the time. So YouTuber streams for over 200 hours with no sleep. Man, that is some dangerous stuff to play with. The longest that I've ever stayed awake was just over 72 hours. And I was pretty young. So YouTube personality Norm is attempting to break the record for the longest continuous stream without sleep, aiming to stay awake for over 200 hours. That's very, very dangerous.
It could be very dangerous.
As the YouTube stream progresses, the effects of sleep deprivation are becoming increasingly apparent, with Norm nodding off on camera and showing signs of hallucination. And that is the thing that I would be horrified by witnessing. The article is over at GameRant.com. It's from 16 hours ago, but Rahman Shakat put the article together. The highlights, or the deck statement for their purposes, is that a YouTuber named Norm strives to set the world record by staying awake for over 12 days, showing signs of hallucinations and nodding off. Streamers like Primetime and Norm push their limits with grueling challenges on camera to entertain their audiences. Extreme, I don't entertain anybody, right?
No, I was gonna say these online challenges, I think, are not a good idea. I mean, they're just extremely dangerous, and then plus other people watch it and replicate it.
Yeah, well, and it's happening,
try to replicate it.
So, for instance, Primetime is one, Norm is another. There are others that have done it at lower levels. There are things, they're called sub-marathons, where you stay up and do things as long as people sub. It adds time to your clock. So extreme streaming challenges like sleep deprivation events raise significant health concerns among viewers and stirred debate. But it's part and parcel to the whole, I love to watch a train wreck kind of, and look at this dumpster fire, that kind of thing. But hallucinating means that your brain and your optic nerve is interpreting basically rampant misfiring. And so the health element of this really needs to be, you need to consult an expert in the field before you do a stunt like this. 12 days is an extraordinary amount of time to stay awake, at least in my understanding of it. Having gone through 3+ days of basically what amounted to insomnia. I couldn't sleep. And like I said, I was much younger, and I was broaching like hallucination, where you question what you're actually seeing in just 3 days. And I was happy, healthy, and young. So I don't know.
By the way, after 36 hours, you already start running into problems.
Yeah, for sure.
And so obviously this is way beyond that.
Yeah. This is, I think, is like overall health, like cardiovascular health. You're
Right, exactly. Not just like sleep health or whatever. Like 96 plus, you start getting into psychosis,
Yeah.
sleep deprivation psychosis, which I think is exactly what's happening here.
So at present, YouTuber Norm is undertaking a similarly grueling sleep challenge with his ongoing stream titled No Sleeping for 12 Days World Record. Norm, who boasts over 1.2 million subscribers, is primarily known for his rating videos on a diverse range of topics. As of this writing, he has already surpassed the 238-hour mark. What? He's gone over it by 38 hours?
Then maybe he should.
So a bunch of supporters.
Oh, he's trying to get to 288.
Oh, his goal is to achieve a total of 288, equivalent to 12 days without sleep. Oh, the article kind of just hinted aiming to stay
like
awake
for 200, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Which, yeah.
I know. And then you're like, wait a second, he's already over it.
Yeah. So 288 hours is the total, equivalent to 12 days without sleep, putting him roughly 50 hours short of this ambitious target. So he has to stay awake for 2 more days. This is brutal. So phasing in and out of consciousness should probably be grounds for not being.
Well, that's the other thing, right? Like he hasn't been it's a problem for health,
conscious.
But he hasn't been awake. Yeah.
Yeah, micro naps it's sleeping. You may not actually fall into REM, but micro naps actually exist.
I'm surprised this hasn't gotten shut down, or if something
for the overall health
from this.
Yeah. I mean, other streams have been shut down for other things, so this is tantamount to self-harm. So, but who am I? So let's
take away here. Don't participate in these things that are contrary to.
Yeah, be the change you want to see in the world. So let's keep moving. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. What Google rivals want after the DOJ antitrust trial win. Longtime Google rivals like Yelp and DuckDuckGo received a huge victory Monday with a federal judge ruling that it's an illegal monopoly, Google and its search. But their statements on the ruling expressed restraint. That's because the work of restoring competition has just begun and the judge has yet to decide on what will work. So what do people want? Pardon me one second. So Lauren Feiner put this article together for The Verge. The judge found that Google violated U.S. anti-monopoly laws, but the rivals say imposing effective remedies is just as critical. While we are heartened by the decision, a strong remedy is critical, says Yelp CEO Jeremy Stoppelman, who wrote that in a blog post after the ruling, referencing a new trial phase will kick off in September. They passed a key milestone, but there's still a lot of history for to be written, says Camille Bazbaz, Senior Vice President of Public Affairs for DuckDuckGo, and said in a statement, Google will do anything it can to get in the way of progress, which is why we hope to see a robust remedy. That's
hopefully that wasn't an Amazon package being thrown up the up the property. It wasn't. It just made me think of that. When you see them just
huck
something.
Yeah. Was that outside?
It was a critter.
Oh, okay. Because there is something outside. So anyway, we can't underscore this enough. The implementation details matter, Bazbaz said. In the EU, there are some solutions that are promising, but Google has found it relatively easy to work around their implementations. DuckDuckGo is calling for a group of truly independent technical experts to monitor any remedies imposed by the court to ensure Google doesn't find new ways to give itself preferential treatment. But Google didn't start out this small. This big. They started out small. Now, they were a DoD. This was originally a DoD.
Like a DARPA or similar
grant
project.
Yeah, to catalog basically the world. Equivalent to what Amazon is doing, but it was a government-funded project initially. And even their professor and mentor donated money to spinning off this project from, I can't remember the school. But then it just